Okay, so it looks like the streaming did work, and then I'll just start recording whenever you let me know.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
So while we're waiting, if there's anyone else who wanted to test out their video and audio who hasn't before, please feel free to we make sure that everything is smoothly when you go to discuss for your application.
Hey, Commission. I made it. Sorry I'm late.
Good to see you, Anthony.
Okay.
Then we'll start recording now, if that's okay. We are already streaming to YouTube, so we're ready as soon as you are, Chair.
Thank you very much. This is the call to order for the German Village Commission meeting, Tuesday, November 10th, 2020. It is 4:07 p.m. We're having a virtual hearing today via WebEx. The next Commission monthly business meeting will be 12 noon, Tuesday, November 17th. That'll be another virtual hearing via WebEx. That's next week. The next Commission hearing will be 4 p.m., Tuesday, December 1st, via WebEx. And we'll move on to the swearing in of staff. So staff, please raise your right hands. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Jacqueline Lehman, Assistant Historic Preservation Officer.
Thank you, Jacqueline. And we'll move on to the introduction of commissioners present. Commissioner Panzer.
Aye.
Commissioner Ferriel.
I'm here. Jeff Ferriel.
Thank you. Commissioner Thiel.
Aye, here.
Commissioner McCoy.
I think she's still working on signing into the meeting.
Okay.
Present.
There we go.
Four.
And Commissioner Durst is not on the call as of yet.
I think both Commissioners Durst and Foley are not able to make it.
Okay. Then we have the quorum. All right. We'll move on to approval of minutes from Tuesday, October 6th, 2020. Are there any recusals?
I've got to recuse myself or abstain because I wasn't here.
I also have to recuse myself because I was not present.
Sorry, should have said Commissioner Panzer.
So
And
I'll move to
Commissioner
approve.
McCoy.
Commissioner Ferriel will move to approve.
Commissioner Thiel will second.
And I will recuse myself from item number 24 on there. Any questions on the
Are we just approving minutes?
Minutes, yeah.
Okay.
True, you're right. All right, any questions on the motion? We'll take the vote. Commissioner Panzer is recused. Commissioner McCoy recused. Commissioner Thiel.
Aye.
Commissioner Ferriel.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it. All right, we'll move on to items for public forum. Jacqueline, any items for public forum?
Oh, no, sorry. No public forum.
Okay. We'll move on to the approvals of staff approvals, which begin on page. Page 6 of the agenda.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Ferriel. I move to ratify the staff approvals.
Second.
All right. Commissioner Thiel seconded. Any questions on the motion? We'll take the vote. Commissioner Panzer,
Aye.
Commissioner Thiel,
Aye.
Commissioner Ferriel,
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it. Motion passes. We'll move on to the applications for certificates of appropriateness. Item number 1 is GV-20-11-017 180 Thurman Avenue.
This application is actually, do we need to ask for?
I was going to say Julia and Nemechek, another applicant here. Second call for applicant for 180 Thurman Avenue. Jacqueline, are we expecting the applicant?
Didn't have a specific confirmation. I thought they were coming, but maybe not.
All right, we will table this application and come back to it later. We'll move on to item number 2, GV-20-08-032 796 Mohawk Street.
Chairman, I need to recuse myself. This is Commissioner Thiel.
Thank you. Is there Catherine or Joseph Micus here? Second call for 796 Mohawk Street. All right, we will table that application for later. I'll move on to item number 3, GV-20-10-039 192 East Beck Street. Is Eleanor Alvarez.
So Eleanor's daughter is attending the meeting today. Emily, she'll be speaking on behalf of this application.
All right. Emily, I see your camera. If you please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Emily Alvarez.
Thank you very much. Jacqueline?
Okay, so this application proposes to remove 2 trees, including a blue spruce that is blocking a neighbor's window, as well as a maple that is currently killing some magnolia plants below and damaging the patio and water pipe below as well. The applicant would like to replace those trees with garden-style trees, such as magnolias or a Japanese maple.
Does the applicant have anything else to add?
Nope. Sums it up.
All right. Questions or comments from the commission?
Well, I think we should look at the staff recommendation on this, which recommends replacing the blue spruce, although I'm not sure whether it is necessarily intended to be the blue spruce, one tree or the other, but adding a shade tree to retain, in the words of the application, to retain tree coverage in German Village. And I am in favor of that type of a move and not just having specimen garden trees put in place of large shade trees. Where in the yard it goes, I'm not particular about, but the fact that a large shade tree go back in with the removal of those 2 shade trees, I believe to be appropriate.
Any other comments from the commission?
So I guess I agree with that. It's not clear. Now I've got to look again. Tree is fine, right?
So the tree itself, if I can jump in just with some clarifying question, the trees are fine and healthy. The problem is the root systems are very shallow. The one up closer to the street, up closer to Beck, is very shallow. So a lot of the roots are actually up on the surface, and that's what's disrupting the patio. I actually fell in the patio area here where she has the bricks because the patio was totally out of sorts. And then the blue spruce is going into the foundation and into the ground next to the Whitemans, which are next door on the right-hand side there.
Yeah, so we need a shade tree that'll grow deeper roots.
All right. Commissioner Thiel, any thoughts on?
No, I mean, I agree with them. I think it's up to the owner. I agree it should be deeper roots. I will comment that blue spruce was put there at the direction of the commission many, many years ago when that alley was abandoned from the north end. It's overgrown. It's too big.
I'm sorry, I had muted myself inadvertently when I said I don't think it's so much an issue of replacing the maple or the blue spruce with a particular tree, but a shade tree should be replanted. And even if it is a shallow root tree, although a deep root tree is probably a better plant anyway, if it's planted farther away from the house and farther away from the patio, you don't wind up with this problem.
So, Ms. Alvarez, I think you hear kind of where the commission stands. You would need a majority vote of affirmative to pass, and you've heard two would want to go with the recommendation from staff to put a shade tree back in. Would you like to amend your application to include a shade tree, or do you want us to vote on it as is?
Sure. Let me pass this back to my mom. I'm sure she's fine with whatever option you all select. I'm sure she'll be very fine with the shade tree. She'll just need the requirement so she can pass it along to her landscaper, but I'm sure she's open to it. So we can amend the application, or just if you help me understand next steps, I can pass those along.
Sure. So if you amend the application, just tell us you want to amend the application. We can vote on it as is, get you the vote, get you the approval, and you can proceed forward with it. If you choose that you don't want the shade tree, you can also reapply and come back to us with that request. But at least you have something you can move forward with from this meeting.
Yeah, I think she'll be fine with that. She's really open to anything. She's pretty flexible as long as.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Great to amend.
This is Commissioner Ferriel. What we want to have staff approve the placement and species of the shade tree.
Yeah, that can be part of the motion. That being said, is there a motion?
Okay, so then I'll make it to, I gotta get my document up here. Mr. Chairman, I have a motion, agenda item 3, GB 2010-039, to approve the application as submitted, provided that or as amended, to replace the removed blue spruce and maple with a shade tree to be approved, the placement and species of which will be approved by staff.
Is there a second?
I'll second with the provision that the shade tree should be a deep-rooted shade tree.
Commissioner Farrell, you okay with that clarification?
Well, I am, but that's not the
Okay.
the way. Robert's rules work, but that's fine.
All right. Any questions on the motion? All right, Commissioner Panzer, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner Thiel,
Aye.
Commissioner Ferriel,
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you all.
Moving on to item number 4, GV-20-10-045, 121 East Frankfurt Street. We have Snyder's Unlimited or Marty Steen or another applicant for 121 East Frankfurt Street. Second call for 121 East Frankfurt Street. All right, we will table the application. Move on to agenda item number 5, GV-20-10-049, 356-358 Beck Street.
I am here. Can you hear or see me?
I can. Commissioner Panzer, I need you to take over. I need to recuse myself due to proximity. Yeah, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Would you, Walt, are you still there?
So I am actually his son, and I live upstairs. And the guy, I'm standing in for Jeff Resner, who owns the 2 units below me.
Can you raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but?
Yes, sir.
And your name is?
Will Tiemann.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably going to be around 6. So
Jack?
Walt Tiemann's my dad.
Got it.
Perfect.
Jacqueline, you want to chime in here?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so for this application, it was submitted in response to a code violation. So commissioners have requested stack back context photos, which the applicant has recently provided some additional context photos. The commissioners also asked for confirmation of the window and door materials and type of the wood siding at the September 22nd business meeting. So staff has included some photos found from hard copy files that are dated from 2019 and 18 for better context. No approvals were found in the hard copy files for the windows, the doors, the decking, or the siding. And the application was continued at the last hearing in October due to the absence of the applicant. And then in addition to those context photos that the applicant has submitted, the applicant also noted that only a small section of the siding was repaired with the same material. So staff does recommend replacing the doors and windows with the appropriate materials other than what I think appears to be vinyl. And then those recommendations are based on the standards for alteration and particular number 6.
Is that a new window? I'll just let him talk.
Sorry. No, go ahead. Walt, what would you like to add there?
My son and I are both here. This has been a long ordeal. I actually own the 2 upper units. My son lives in one of the 2. Jeff Resner, who is not able to, be part of this today because he's working and really hasn't cooperated a lot, owns the 2 lower units. The 2 doors are both on the lower units, which I guess we'll deal with that topic first, if that's okay.
Sure.
We hired a guy years ago, maybe 3 years ago. We paid him a lot of money, and he actually abandoned the project. And as such, Jeff, who dealt with him for the doors and also quite a bit of work on the inside, doesn't have records of exactly what doors were there, but they're pretty standard, as you can see in the picture. Actually, the door you're now showing was not a replacement door. It was the first picture you showed right here. That's the correct one.
The problem, first of all, would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, sir.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but?
Yes, sir.
And one more time, your name is?
Walt Tiemann. I'm actually the owner of the 2 upper units.
Okay. So the problem we've got or a problem we've got seems to be that all of the work on this property, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just my perception of what's going on, is that all of the work on this property, building the staircase, replacing the staircase, changing the doors out, residing the house, all that's been done without permits.
That's not correct.
Okay, so building permits have been pulled on all of this?
Building permits were pulled on the deck. It was approved by the city on December 3rd. My son then moved in.
Excuse me, December 3rd of what year?
Last year, 2019.
And and you never came before the German Village Commission at that time?
We were told that we did not to by the city.
So it'd be helpful if we had some documentation of that so we know who at the city we might have a conversation with.
Yeah, I mean, at a minimum, we need copies of the building permits to see exactly what was in fact approved before we can even have that reasonable discussion. The city is well aware of the fact that all work taking place within the historic district requires a certificate of appropriateness from the commission.
But we had the certificate of appropriateness. And we had the final inspection. I think I go to the other room and
Jacqueline, you found nothing on file in terms of a certificate of appropriateness?
No, I could not find any recent certificates or anything related to the work, at least in our hard copies and our digital files, nothing that we have a record of.
let me see if I have them in my file.
Jeff, I'm obviously you don't represent the commission on this, but just based on what you said and based on my understanding, I think before we go too much further on this, we probably have to go back to the files. I mean, we'll see if Walt comes back with a COA, but I have no recollection of this. Do any of the other commissioners who are present have any recollection of this application?
No.
No.
I do not.
And frankly, I think we would.
Yeah, I'm also a little, I don't remember when, and you probably have, but I don't recall when this building has obviously been converted to some sort of condominium or other type of affair. It's a little, so that situation is just a little unclear to me who ought to be applying for this, whether it's the condo association or the individual owners of the separate units jointly or what. That just is something I'm not
well, the thing that's
I'm confident about.
The thing that's a little, well, the materials and seem to bridge both units. Walt, did you find anything?
I did not, but I know I have it somewhere. I didn't think this was part of our discussion today.
Well,
we hired a guy named Brian Daly back in 2017. City came out, took away occupancy because they considered the decks unstable. Brian, for better part of 6 months, convinced us that his plans would be accepted. I finally said, no, I don't think they are. They want a structural engineer. I went to the city list. They had about 10 approved. I hired a guy named Fred Hutchinson. He developed the plans. His plans were approved by the city, and they were followed to the letter of the T.
Yeah, the challenge we've got is that as far as we go, we're being asked to approve something that could only be reasonably assumed to be approvable if it were a replacement in kind. And that replacement in kind, I'm looking for Jeff to just kind of nod a little bit. That replacement in kind would be for something that was built with the approval of the commission or prior to commission approvals being required, and originally approved by the city. So you don't get to replace something in kind that has not initially been approved by the required parties.
Well, I'm a layman, and that's why I hired an expert in the name of a Fred Hutchins. That I paid him lots of money to, have his plans approved. They were approved by the city.
I mean, that's what we have at the moment. Do not have
to go to you guys.
at this point. We don't have anything in front of us that shows us that. Excuse me, who's talking here? We don't have any evidence in front, and I'm not saying that what you're saying is not 100% true, because in fact it's happened before. Not that many years ago it happened. But right now we don't have anything in front of us that lets us say this is a city screw up. We have no choice but to let it stand. And in fact, it's generally not. It gets approved on appeal, not on an actual application, because it would not have been approved by the commission. Do we have any? Go ahead, Jeff.
So Jay, I'm right. The city normally would not have issued a building permit without a certificate of appropriateness from the commission.
That is correct. That is the way things are supposed to work. That is correct. They normally would not have, but it has happened.
Yes.
So I think the first thing we need to do is, before we can reasonably review this, I think we need that information. Absent that information, I think we vote on it as is. But I would think, Walt, and this is kind of my suggestion to you, that you request that we table this until such a time as you can provide additional information. And at the same time, we will request that city staff go back to the building department and ascertain what their records are on this.
See, I don't think that's my responsibility, because the city clearly gave
you can request. You are absolutely within your right that we vote on this matter right now. And we can go around the table and see where we are. But right now, we don't have any documentation. And in effect, what you're saying is the city made a mistake. I mean, our interpretation of what you're saying is that the city made a mistake giving you a permit. And we don't have that permit to even say that they made a mistake, because it's just not in front of us. That's why I say, we can either vote on this as it's been submitted, or we can, at your request.
I'd like you to vote on it, because I really think it should be approved, because the city signed off.
They don't have documentation.
One more time, we don't have anything. We don't have anything in front of us that says that the city did approve. We're not questioning you. We just need to see exactly what it is that the city approved.
Hey, and our action is not a successor to city activity. Our action is a predecessor to that.
Well, the city gave me the certificate of appropriateness, which you should be able to obtain.
The certificate of appropriateness seems really unlikely, because this is the only body that is able to issue a certificate of appropriateness, and at least 3 of the commissioners who are here right now, at least 2 of the commissioners that are here right now, I think maybe 3, would have been present during the time period that you're referring to. And no one here recalls that.
So I guess what exactly is, we need the certificate of appropriateness and
and the building permits.
Okay,
I mean, basically, what you need is you should submit all of the communications that you had with the city. Anything, if the city permit office said, no, you don't have to get a certificate of appropriateness. We're just going to give you a
Like
permit. Give us that.
I know a city guy showed up and approved the deck. Like that's, and I don't know. I mean, obviously the city has their hands full right now with a lot of things, and things for sure slip through the cracks.
Well,
So,
the permitting process is something that is actually available online. You can go online and look up building permits that have been issued. But that's part of the evidence that you need to provide to the commission.
What about the other things that we need to get through?
Well, I think that, honestly, I think that the best thing for you to do right now is to request that we continue this application and that you assemble whatever documentation you have from the city in terms of any certificates of appropriateness that you filed for but might not have gotten, or any building permits that you have gotten for any inspection sign on, anything you have that you can help us to understand exactly what happened in this process to let us get where we are. And in that way, we can make a determination as to what we need to do to fulfill our responsibility to review for a certificate of appropriateness, whether it's for work that has been done or whether it is for work that is yet to be done.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Appropriateness. This all started back in 2017. So
that's fine. I mean, as I was just explaining, I think you need to assemble whatever paperwork you have and whatever paperwork you can get from the city to support this application. Because right now, I think you probably get a sense that it's going to be it is unlikely that it would garner the 3 votes that would be required for passage.
No, yeah, obviously in the next.
Hey, Jay, I don't even know what they're asking for.
Me neither.
Well, right now, I mean, and that's a good question, and one we should probably ask Jacqueline, because the only thing that is on the application, well, new door, new rear wall material, exterior electrical outlet and wiring that's been installed. But I don't understand that either, because I think the problem is a larger problem, and I don't know if this is where you're headed, Ned, but it seems like this is a bigger problem dealing with the origins of the structure that's been built on the back of the property.
I mean, I think we need, if this needs to start at the beginning for an approval, we need to know what was there and what condition it was in, like any other application, and what they want to replace it with. That goes for doors, windows, sidings, the deck, everything.
Well,
it is, Jay, it is way back there in the corner of German Village. It's entirely possible that the city issued a building permit because somebody down there didn't know where the boundaries were.
Jeff, I don't know.
You're right.
You're absolutely right. The thing right now is we don't have anything in front of us to look at.
Right. Absolutely.
Whether, we can, it will be for, and Walt, we're not trying to throw all of this on you. This may be a problem, which is what Jeff's alluding to. This may be a problem between us and the city building department. Without that information that you have in your communications with the city, we don't know where the problem lies right now. All we know is what we're looking at, and what we're looking at is something that is unlikely to have ever been approved by this commission.
well, hopefully you can communicate with the city. I mean, we were given an estimate about 13,000. We paid 25,000. He wanted 75,000, and he wasn't getting the job done.
That is something that at this point, and believe me, I fully understand that what I'm about to say could get you really irritated, but at this point, that's not for us to really be concerned with. And having done a lot of construction in my life, I know how that sounds. and it's not my intent, but right now we need to get to the bottom of what was approved by whom and when.
Okay.
And to the degree that you can help facilitate that conversation by providing whatever documentation you have in terms of letters, permits, inspection reports, emails, anything, that cannot but help us through this process.
See, I consider the deck history. So, I really don't know if I have much information still on the deck. The city should still have the building
I can't, I don't know. I mean, I think you need to think about what's been said here and go back and try to assemble that information based on, based on where we are.
Okay. But the next meeting is December 1st.
No, yeah, I guess
Yeah,
actually it could be
that's right.
December 1st.
That is
yeah.
correct, December
Okay.
1st.
So,
But the business meeting is actually next week because this hearing was moved back, and that's on November 17th, which is a Tuesday.
But
Okay.
this is, I mean, if we continue this application, it will kind of stay on the agenda and you won't have to file a new application or anything like that. It just automatically gets redone and you would have until when to provide additional, information. And meanwhile, Jacqueline, I'd like you to go back to the city and see whether you can find anything in terms of our records, of course, the records of the
feel
commission,
free
of
to
course,
contact
but
Fred.
also in terms of what you might be able to glean from the building department.
We'll
Yeah,
try
we can
and
be in contact with building and zoning.
That's great. I'm sorry, Walt, you were about to say?
Fred Hutchinson has all the plans too, so that might be a contact.
Okay.
we have to do that.
The other thing is our initial.
We need to ask this is a little weird. You need to request that we continue this application until next month.
I request that, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Is there a
What
motion?
about the doors and the electrical, which really was the lower units?
We need
That's
to
table two then.
we'll deal with all of this at one time once we know what the story is.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Is there a motion on this application?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Ferriel. I move to continue the application to the December meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, let's go to Thiel,
Aye.
Ferriel,
Aye.
McCoy,
Aye.
and Panzer votes aye. Thank you, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Anthony Harkey.
Thank you, Commissioner Panzer. Appreciate that. We'll move on to, actually, let's do a quick circle back. Agenda item 180 Thurman Avenue. 180 Thurman Avenue. All right. Agenda item 2, 796 Mohawk Street. 796 Mohawk Street. All right. Agenda item 4, 121 East Frankfurt Street. 121 East Frankfurt Street. All right, we'll keep going forward. Item number 6, GV-20-11-01-018, 646-648 South 5th Street. We have Abel Roof, Pam Kinsey, Joseph Kimmener.
I have to recuse myself.
Second call for 646-648 South 5th Street.
This is actually Dan Bible. I'm filling in for Pam for Able Roof and production manager for Able.
All righty. Mr. Bible, if you please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Dan Bible.
Thank you, Mr. Bible. Jacqueline, go ahead.
Okay, so this application is proposing to remove all the slate on the upper rear roof only down to the bare deck.
Excuse me, Jacqueline, I'm terribly sorry. I need to recuse myself from this as well.
Okay, thank you, Jay.
Thank you, sorry.
That's okay, I'll write that down. Okay, so this application is proposing to remove all slate on the upper rear roof only. So at the top, and to install 48 sheets of OSB plywood on the roof area, ice and weather shields throughout gutter lines, and a thunder shield on the remainder of the roof. They like to install a new gray drip edge, soil boots, and flashings on all 3 chimneys. And they like to also install GAF slate line and weathered slate for shingles with a gray ridge roll, and 1 square foot of rubber roofing on the upper flat roof. They would also like to replace gutters with 6-inch black K-style gutters and downspouts with 3 by 4-inch downspouts. So following Commissioner feedback and requests made at the October 20th business meeting, the applicant has revised the application to include the installation of the GAF slate line and the weathered slate, which is from the approved shingles list. And they also have submitted a contractor's letter regarding the condition of the slate. The applicant has stated that they have found a second contractor to evaluate the slate, and they did let staff know today that they are working on getting that contractor to send over that second contractor letter. They're not able to have the contractor letter by the time of the meeting, but they are planning to send to staff to submit for the record. And then, so the existing slate does appear to be in poor condition based on those photos and the current contractor's letter that we do have. So staff does recommend approval of the application as revised with the shingles from the approved list.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Mr. Bible, anything else to add?
Nope.
All right. Questions, comments from the commission? Because based on the feedback that Jacqueline just gave us following last meeting, provided the contractor letter that is to be submitted to staff that is not available by the time of this meeting, does indicate the poor condition of the roof and replacement necessary. Is anybody on the commission opposed to voting on it as is with the condition of staff to review that letter?
Let's vote.
All right. If there's no questions or comments, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Ferriel with respect to agenda item 6, GV 2011-018. I move to approve as submitted.
Is there a second? I believe Commissioner McCoy, are you still there?
Yes,
Can you second the motion? We only have 3 of
a
us.
second.
Okay, I would make the clarification that the contractor letter still to be submitted to staff, and any approval would be contingent upon that letter being sufficient to staff.
Yes, that was the gist of my motion.
Okay. Any other questions on the motion? We'll take the vote. Commissioner Ferriel,
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy,
Aye.
chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it. Thank you. All right, we'll move ahead to item number 7, GV-20-11-019, 24 South 5th Street. Do we have Mr. Kites here or Ms. Brown?
Mr. Chairman, I believe he pronounces it Keats.
Keats, I apologize. All right, Mr. Keats, I see you there.
Yes.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Philip Kientz.
Thank you.
And I have someone else that may speak. We don't know.
All right. If you want to go ahead and please raise your right hand as well. And do you swear to tell the truth? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your name?
Jamie Weilbacher.
Thank you, Mr. Weilbacher. All right, Jacqueline.
Okay, so this application is also proposing to remove the slate roof. They would like to remove and replace the deteriorated ribbon slate roof with metal ridge rows, valleys, and flashings. The roofing is original, dating to over 100 years old, beyond its useful lifespan. The applicant notes that it can no longer be replaced due to the high rate of deterioration. Slates are breaking, slipping, and falling at a rate of about 3 to 10 slates weekly. And then the applicant notes that approximately 65% of the roof is beyond repair, and that the current costs of repair are no longer sustainable, and that the single woodboard sheathing is also deteriorating as a result of the deterioration. The entire roof will require new deck seating. The new roof the applicant would like is the 3-fab asphalt fiberglass shingles, GIF Royal Sovereign in nickel gray from the approved shingles list. Valleys and flashings will be Tinner's red. The applicant is also proposing to remove and replace all existing gutters and downspouts like for like. And gutters are aluminum, brown, K-style OG gutters. So at the October 20th business meeting, Commissioners requested photos of the fascia board and rafter tails from below, as well as a second contractor's letter regarding the condition of the slate. And then the applicant has recently submitted an additional photo taken from below, and I believe another contractor's letter as well. So staff does recommend installing certainty carriage house dimensional or GAF slate line dimensional if possible to achieve a closer look to that historic slate. And that any additional letter from contractor, if not already submitted, be submitted regarding the slate condition.
It's twice as much of cost of the shingle.
All right. Mr. Keith, anything to add?
Pardon?
Anything else to add to Jacqueline's?
Well, we were hoping for 3-tab Royal Sovereign because due to cost instead of the slate line. And my son, he's sitting here. I don't know if he wants to speak, but he's in the process of buying the house now and has a lot of expenses. And we thought that would be the best choice for all of us, and it's on the approved list.
Understood. All right, questions, comments from the commission. Commissioners, as you all know, we did get the added information via email prior to the meeting, and it is in the application currently.
Mr. Chairman, Jay Panzer, I think that the first thing, and I think it is something of a given here. My view is that it's something of a given here, is that we should talk about demolition of the slate roof and whether anyone has any objections to it.
Okay.
To get past that hurdle. I have no objections to it, but I think it behooves us to do that.
This Commissioner Thiel, I have no objections.
Are there any objections from any commissioner? Okay, I believe we are past that. Any objections to the choice of slate from the approved, or the choice of shingle from the approved shingle list?
No objection here.
Any objection to the style of gutters following the added information that we received?
No.
None.
All right. Any objections at all or questions? Okay. If there are none, is there a motion?
Chairman, on item GV 20-11-019-824 South Fifth Street, I move to approve as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All right, we will take the vote. Commissioner Panzer.
Aye.
Commissioner Thiel.
Aye.
Commissioner Ferriel.
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will move on to item number 8, GV-20-11-020, 125 East Sycamore Street.
Yeah, this is Jamie Kuhn representing Summit.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name again for the record.
Jamie Kuhn.
Thank you, Mr. Kuhn. Jacqueline?
Okay, this is another slate roof application. The applicant would like to remove the slate on the front slope of the roof and dormer. They like to install new OSB, ice and water shield with drip edge, and a certainty carriage house in black pearl. The existing slate is Pennsylvania black slate, which is approximately 120 years old, with an average lifespan of 75 to 125 years old. So at the October 20th business meeting, commissioners requested detailed photos showing the slate condition and deterioration, and 2 contractors' letters evaluating the condition of the slate. Our commissioners asked if the applicant has considered synthetic slate just as a cost median between slate and asphalt shingles. So the proposed Certainty Carriage House in Black Pearl includes the approved manufacturer and type from the approved shingles list. However, the Black Pearl is an alternate color that is not on the approved list. The applicant has proposed the alternate Black Pearl color to match the rear side of the roof, which is sheathed with matching shingles, if I understand correctly. So staff does recommend submission of some additional detailed photos showing the condition and any contractor's letters to evaluate the condition of slate. And if the replacement is approved, staff does recommend using a shingle color from the approved list to better match a shape appearance. This is based on the standards for alterations, number 2 and 6.
So, I mean, I did speak with the homeowner about the color. His position, as we're looking at this overall aesthetics of the home, is that the slate had darkened over the years, and he feels like the other colors are going to lighten the overall appearance of the house pretty significantly. Obviously, if that's the colors we have to use, I told him I wasn't sure if you guys had ever actually reviewed this color and rejected it, or if they had just never reviewed it. So I said, at least I'll go and speak with them to see if they would consider the color.
Okay. All right. So for the commissioner's color of the shingle selection, not being on the approved list, any thoughts, comments on the color?
Black roofs tend to be very severe looking in this neighborhood. We've seen 1 or 2 of them over the years, and they also weather quite quickly. So I'm not in love with the idea.
So you're saying, Jay, they get lighter?
They unevenly. I mean, it's like most asphalt shingle roofs. They tend to unevenly weather. I don't know whether I would say they necessarily get lighter, but they. I don't know.
Do you think that'll be a concern since we're only doing the one slope?
Well, the slope issue is of not in. I don't think anyway is of a not enormous concern to me, because that's the only slope you see. And
right
to the house, you can only see the rear slopes of the house.
Okay, I didn't know if that was the part of the. I just want to make sure you're taking that in consideration. If you want us to revise, to go with this, if you're not.
Well, I mean, don't let me drive this. Don't let me drive this bus alone. I mean, I may be the only one who feels this way. So let somebody else.
I would say that the approved color, the color on the approved list, more closely mimics the colors you would have seen historically across the roofs, specifically slate roofs, which is what the carriage house is trying to mimic in a way. I think that is what's driving the color selections on the approved shingle list from the start. I think if the roof were turned so it was perpendicular to the street and you could see both slopes of the roof, I think that would be a more so we're looking for more forceful reason to try to match them, but you will never see the backside from the public right away. So I think it doesn't really get me to the point of wanting to go with a non-approved color. The only question I would have is on the dormer. You can see in the picture on the screen, there are slate shingles on the side of the dormer. Is there an intent to take those off and replace them? What's the condition going to happen there? I hate to see an approval of a roof now and then all of a sudden we're doing dormer work on top of it.
No, yes, we were also planning on doing the dormer as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
the dormer is part of the application.
Okay, I did not read that part. I apologize.
So does anyone else cringe when they think about asphalt shingles on the side of a dormer?
Yep.
I mean, I would never do it except for with these slate appearance shingles. I mean, if we're running 3 tabs up the side of that, it would look tacky, but I'm trying to keep it as close to the similar appearances, to what it has now, which is a consistent, roof covering up the sides of the dormer.
Wow. This is an interesting problem because you might get away with, and I gotta be careful about the way I say it, but you might get away with faking slate on a 45-degree plane, but you have a vertical wall that you're looking at. The answer to me is it's just not going to look anything like slate. Now, I could be wrong and would like to hear from other people, but that's a problem.
Are there any appropriate siding treatments that you would say you want to match the siding that's on the front of the dormer between the windows?
I think the first question is, does the slate need to come off the dormer?
Yep.
Again, we were looking to try and, make everything look as nice as possible, which would be a consistent appearance.
Right. I'm not on board with that. I mean, if the slate on the side can stay, I think the slate on the side should stay. My comment regarding the color is those approved colors were approved for a reason.
That's fine. I told him I wasn't sure if that was ever an issue.
And I don't see making an exception. There's nothing here that says we need to make an exception to me.
Again, I wouldn't ask for an exception if you'd discussed and reviewed it. I told him I just had not sure if you guys had ever been presented with that color, so that's fine.
I guess I'd ask the question for the siding on that dormer. Do the shingles need to come off for any weatherproofing purposes, or can the slope of the roof be re-roofed without disturbing those shingles?
The other question I'd have is whether there's enough salvageable shingles.
It's interesting because we salvage shingles off the back of this roof for the front. That's why we let the back roof go.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to save on the front. I mean, with the amount of slate that would have to be replaced, replacing it all with slate would be less expensive than trying to save a few pieces here and there. I mean, having to take all that care removing it. But yeah, I do worry about step flashing down that wall. I mean, I would much rather have that off, put a wrap up and some sort of siding material. If you don't want to do the shingles, that's fine. But I would much rather have some wrap stuff.
You can all. I mean, this is less than a square of slate we're talking about between the two sides of that dormer. It's not a lot of slate, so you could get salvage slate to put up there. You could also use synthetic slate on the side of it. I'm kind of.
Well, I mean, I think that there would only be a couple of slates on the side that we would need to repair, so that's not a concern. I'm just, like I said, I'm just more worried about trying to step flash everything properly, especially since we're redecking the roof, which is going to raise it by half an inch. And, that's going to interfere with the line of that slate, which I don't know how we could. I mean, the only thing we would be doing then is you're talking about detaching and resetting all that slate and trying not to break it, which I don't know. I couldn't go to the homeowner and say, yes, I can detach and reset this slate with, and save it. It's going to all get broken.
So you've convinced me that slate on the side of the dormer needs to come off.
I mean, if you can tell me a way to save it, I'd be open, but it scares the crap out of me leaving that on there.
You've convinced me with the flashing and the surface coming up a little bit that it needs to come off for flashing and so forth. The question is then whether to put asphalt shingles there, which sounds like a bad idea to me from an aesthetic perspective and maybe just a durability perspective of the durability of those shingles in that location.
Yeah, I mean, they're a super thick, high quality shingle. I mean, if we're looking at putting 3 tabs on there, I would never even consider it. But I mean, I do a lot of siding work as well, and I'm very interested in siding design, and I'm aware of the products that are out there. And I just, to me, it's not going to look right. It's going to look like we tried to match the sides of the dormers to the roof and failed. It's not going to look like we have slate on everything like it used to be. It's going to look like, well, they use this and then they tried to match the sides and they couldn't do it. But I think it would look nicer and be more consistent if we use the same material, since those are, average shingle.
While I don't disagree with the theory that the material should be the same, I'm not seeing carriage house shingle on the side of this thing. I just can't get there visually.
I'm looking at the dormer on the house next door.
Well, I was wondering whether you just put lap siding or you put floral or something, you drop siding, something like that on it, and just.
I agree.
And that's fine if you'll approve a whole different material on there. I have no problem doing any kind of, whatever you want, cedar or, any kind of lap siding. But I, of course, was looking to keep the appearance the exact same, because I thought, that's what I thought your guys' first concern would be. But yeah, if you would prefer that, I have zero problem.
I mean, the way to keep the appearance the exact same is to use, an EcoStar or I was going to say, or one of the others. At the moment, the only thing that's really on the market is the EcoStar synthetic slate, which would look exactly like this.
Yeah, I would love to get the commission selling that one, but I mean, we've gone over pricing from everything from slate down to 3 tabs, and this is where he ended up.
Price out the synthetic slate?
I'm sorry?
Did you price out the synthetic slate?
Yeah, he said the carriage house, that was like way more than he was looking to spend initially, but he was, I talked with him. We talked a lot. He's also very concerned about the appearance of the house. But yeah, he just had no idea what the range of prices was going to be. He just caught me because I was looking at the house a couple doors down, which we already got the application approved on that one.
So we've got an approved shingle and an approved color on the roof. Let's put a different material on the side of the dormer.
Okay. What do you like? Like a cedar siding or cedar shingle?
I think it'd be able to be a little more dressier than that. I would go with clapboard. That's like next door.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like we can do a cedar siding, like a cedar lap siding, like that. Do you guys have any kind? I don't know if you know off the top of your head with any kind of.
Generally, it's a narrow exposure.
Yeah, narrow exposure.
Generally, it's would be probably a 4-inch exposure on that.
At the most.
Yeah.
I think if you could match what's on the front there currently between the windows, that's probably your best bet.
Is there siding between the windows?
Go to the last page.
Tell.
Go to last page, Jacqueline.
Yeah, I thought it was just trim boards all through.
Oh no, it's siding.
It's tongue and groove.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what you should do.
There you go.
And you can do that out of wood, or you can do it out of boral. As long as the dimensions are the same.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly whoever said that.
All right. Yeah. Do you need me to resubmit that, or can we vote on it with me matching the same material to that, changing the shingle color?
Request a menu application to the appropriate shingle color, and then for the siding on the dormer to match the dimensions in the profile of what's on the front, and we can vote on that as is.
Okay. Yeah. What's the shingle color that you guys want?
Color from the approved list.
Okay, so you don't care which. Okay. Okay. All right, that's no problem.
So are you formally requesting us to amend the application to that?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? If not, is there a motion?
I just want to note that each shingle type has an associated approved color. Some of them have more than one. but there are different approved colors for different shingles on the approved list.
Okay. So if we're sticking with the carriage house, there's the one color for that carriage house, correct, Jacqueline?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'll look up that color and then we'll do that, and then I'll match up that siding as well. Okay.
Is there a motion from the commission?
Chairman, let me get my glasses here. Item GV 20-11-020-125 East Sycamore Street, I move to approve as amended with the approved shingle with the one approved color, and that the siding on the side of the dormers is to match the siding on the front of the dormer.
Is there a second?
Second, Commissioner McCoy.
Any questions on the motion? We'll take the vote. Commissioner Panzer.
Aye.
Commissioner Thiel.
Aye.
Commissioner Ferriel.
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to GV-20-11-021-577 Cedar Alley. Mr. Hugus.
I'm here.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. Bill Hugus, architect.
Thank you, Mr. Hugus. Jacqueline?
Okay, so this application is to change two previously approved garage doors from a flush smooth wood to the Slate Coachman Design 22, and from wood to a one panel smooth fiberglass by Therma-Tru Smooth Star with glass. So the commissioners did note at the business meeting that they are actively looking for appropriate alternative garage door materials other than wood and wood panel applied over steel, and that currently materials that have been proposed so far from various applicants have all had prominent gold textured finishes, so commissioners are still looking. Commissioners did request information about the previously approved garage doors and staff has found that they were originally approved to be smooth flush wood doors as of July 2019. And the applicant has also submitted a physical material sample of the proposed garage doors for commissioners to evaluate, as well as some additional photos. So staff does recommend possibly approving as a test case with conditions, and that the physical sample of the alternate materials submitted to the commission should be found to have minimal textured finish and should be appropriate. And then the applicable guidelines for that is under the German Village guidelines for new buildings, garages and outbuildings, and number 6.
Okay. Mr. Hugus, anything else to add?
Yes, actually, I just found out that the manufacturer is not Clopay, it is overhead door. And the difference, the only difference between those companies is the applied one by members to give the decoration. In Clopay, it's a composite material. In overhead, it's wood, actual wood. The problem with the overhead wood overlays is they're quite rugged, rough, wood grain. And it's more pronounced a little bit more than the Clopay door. What happened was my contractor sent out the client to the Columbus Door Company to look at different doors, and they changed the style, but they didn't follow through with the wood door. They went insulated for some reason. This is a brand new garage. It's on an alley. It's given the conditions today, this whole year with COVID, and they have a group of salons they had to shut down. They're stressed, and we're trying to finish up. And what's happened is we've gotten a temporary COO on the house and the garages, except for these 2 garage doors and the 2 man doors, which you don't see, which are in the backyard. The man doors are the fiberglass smooth overlay full light doors, and you can see them from the photograph there. We use them quite a bit off and on. Whether the commission knows it or not, that's exactly what's been happening with a lot of these garages. So we're between a rock and a hard place, and at a minimum, I would like to see us be able to approve this on a test case, but in the meantime, try to sand down the overlay boards on these two garage doors smooth, and then have the commissioners look at it again. Maybe from the business meeting, we're done with the project except for this issue. So everyone on board is frustrated, just like the commission. So I'm frustrated because we've had tons of projects with these problem doors everywhere. In fact, there are some that don't get caught because it depends on the inspection, the final inspection. Some of these inspectors are actually reading the COAs, which they're supposed to. Others don't bother to even look at them. So it's driving us all crazy. And I would hope we could at least get a test case on this particular job and try to sand them down smooth to help alleviate that textural difference, which we all are not in favor of.
What I hear from you, Mr. Hugas, is you'd like to continue this to next month. Basically, hit them with a sander ahead of the business meeting next week. Commissioners can come by, take a look, and then we can have that discussion and vote on this next month. Is that what you're asking for?
Well, yeah, I'm assuming this isn't passable the way it is for the two garage doors. The two man doors, I would hope, would get approved now and be done with it. They're in the backyard. I can't even see them well from my access, let alone this garage faces an alley. The house faces an alley. It's not a public street kind of situation where it's right in front beside a historic house. So I'm hoping, yes, that if we can't get them approved the way they are, we'd still want to sand them down, the overlays down, because I hate that fake wood grain or real rugged wood grain that they have on them.
So for the
I do have the sample of the door here that matches the Clopay sample that was passed around last week, I think.
I would say if you want to get that sample into my hands, Mr. Hugas, I can get that around to the commission just so we can see it. We like seeing samples so we can try to find
the
solution.
The sample that Bill's talking about is the sample we've seen already, is it not? The Clopay sample?
I have an overhead door sample now, the same look, but I don't want to sand the sample down with the overlay trim. I would rather sand the actual door and field down so we can see it.
Okay. So I'd recommend this.
Does that sound reasonable?
I think that's reasonable. I say we put the door on a hold until you can sand it, and we'll take a look at it for the next meeting. As far as the door goes, commissioners' thoughts on the door as installed?
I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I'm fine as well with the door.
We got at least 3 fines.
Hey, before you go ahead, Anthony, Bill, do you think this trim is sandable down to being smooth?
Yes, it's actual wood.
It's actual wood. So you use a flat
brand only.
Yeah. So you use a flat planer on it, you're gonna get there, right?
I think so. Yeah. I
So
think
I
we're
don't
gonna
know
be
why-
able to get it down.
Yeah, I don't know why we can't approve it with that condition.
Well, I was hopeful that would be the case. At least it camouflages the pebbly metal insulated panels.
Yeah. I mean, if this is, yeah.
But it would be really great if the commission could come up with a list of garage door either materials that would be approvable, This is kind of getting to where we were with Windows 10 years ago.
We're trying. We're trying.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I mean, I hate to harp on it, but I keep going back to CHI.
Well,
I mean, it's an
only
expensive
because
door.
of the
You know,
conditions.
it's a $2,500 door on $1 million house, and I have, or you know, and I know that we shouldn't be
No.
getting into cost here, but cost is coming at it from the other direction. You just said the cost is an issue. We constantly hear we don't want to use the right product because cost is an issue.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree at all. I think in this particular case, we didn't find out about the problem until the very end. I could have cut this off at their knees earlier on, and it would have been a simple fix. But given 2020's conditions, I would like to try to salvage these two doors. Any future projects, we're staying away from these things. If I have to put it in big red letters on the damn drawings. Do I sound frustrated?
Well, I'll put
So
this
Anthony, I can get you the sample of the overhead door, but I would prefer to sand the actual doors.
Yes.
Is the field the same thing material that we saw?
Yes, it's same as the clope. It's a metal pebbly kind of
panel
texture.
The only difference here is the trim.
Yeah, it's just the trim we're talking about that we can't sand. Now the clope, you can't do anything to them. It's a composite weird material, and if you're not careful with the saturation of the color, it'll expand and contract and they'll pop. We're having one door problem with that.
So Commissioner Thiel, are you good just approving this straight up as is with the condition of sanding it down?
Sanding it down and having somebody go take a look at it and saying, yep, the sanding was done well and it passes. If it doesn't, you're back.
Right. Yep.
Okay. All right. If there's no issues on the doors.
It just doesn't seem that hard or that complicated to me to take a belt sander to it and smooth it down.
Right.
And Commissioner Thiel, do you want to put together the motion?
Oh. All right. Item GV 20-11-021 Eats 577 Cedar Alley. I move to approve as submitted consideration of the doors being visible, etc. Garage door trim is the issue. It is to be sanded down smooth with no grain exposed. It is to be inspected by somebody from HBO along with the chairman.
Okay. Fair enough.
I will take a stroll. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any questions on the motion? We'll take the vote. Commissioner Panzer.
Okay.
Is that a yay or a nay?
Yeah, it's a yay.
Commissioner Thiel.
Okay.
Commissioner Ferriel.
Yeah, aye.
Fudging.
Commissioner McCoy.
Aye.
I'm going to vote nay on this one.
I appreciate it.
Thank you much, Mr. Hughes.
Yeah, remember the person that's approving this is the one that just voted nay for it, Bill.
Yeah.
I know.
I will tell you, and I'll go on the record now. This is the last. This is it. Until we find something.
I am sick of this.
Until we find something that is an acceptable alternative to something along the lines of a CHI door, I'm done.
Yeah, right. I know it's a problem.
I mean, we'll look at this as a test, but.
All right.
No, I'm not even looking at this as a test.
We're going to move on to item number 10, GV-20-011-022, 250-252 East Jackson Street. There's someone here from Columbus Design LLC.
Yeah, that's me, Kara Sherrill.
All right. If you please look up your camera. There we go. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I certainly do.
And please state your name again for the record.
Carrick Cheryl.
Thank you, Mr. Sherrill. Jacqueline.
All right, so this application proposes to install a new concrete pad to create an entry location for the north unit in the south building. The application also proposes to replace in kind the elevated deck entry and stair to the upper level at the north side of the building. The applicant has already replaced the existing privacy fence and replaced with a fence at the same location at the middle of the property along the alley parking and surrounding the east patio at the north building. The applicant has removed existing privacy fence around the south yard at the corner of Jackson and Cedar and installed a new privacy fence in a slightly different configuration for the submitted materials. Proposed concrete pad dimensions are to be 18 feet 4 inches by 12 feet, a little flare on the south. The markup on the drawings shows red. Red is the existing fence to be removed, green is the existing fence to be rebuilt, and the blue color is showing the new fence in the new location. So at the October 20th business meeting, commissioners requested drawings of the proposed stair and clarification if the new stair will meet code, if it is a true like replacement. The commissioners requested clarification on what has already been installed and any updated photos showing what is currently existing. So staff does recommend updated photos and any clarification needed from the applicant. And this is based on the standards for site improvements, letter A.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Mr. Sherrill, anything else to add? I believe you're muted, sir.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I don't have anything to add. The stair is code compliant as it is, so a like for like replacement it would remain to be code compliant. The privacy fence that is there, that's obviously new, is what resulted in the code infraction that is partly the reason for this visit. So my client intends to reinstall the fence per the detail on the drawings, anything that is new and existing. And then obviously at the south side, Jacqueline explained with the colors what's new and what's existing and what's existing to be replaced.
Questions, comments from the commission? I will make the one comment. The detail is showing 6 foot tall from grade. That is a hard number we push for fences. So we don't want to make sure we don't get above that 6 foot.
Sure, I will inform the client that 6 foot is the maximum.
Any other concerns or issues, commission? If there are none, is there a motion?
Are we creating a parking spot here?
Folks that live here to a certain extent try to use that existing concrete slab that's at the end, the gable end of the south building that you see in some of the photos. So yes, I mean it is to a certain extent going to be used as a parking spot. I mean, obviously from a city maneuvering standpoint, it's not going to meet code because the right of way is just way too narrow here, and I think paving this entire yard just to get another spot is not something that would be appropriate or desired by anybody. So yes, I mean, it's really trying to take a not very good situation and turn it into something a little bit more organized.
I don't think I'm objecting to it. I just think we need to touch on that topic so everybody's aware of what the reality is.
I would ask the question of is concrete pad the best application here, or is a paver option something to be more appropriate?
The only reason that I would tend towards using concrete in this situation is because there's an existing concrete slab right next to it. There's asphalt on the other side. I mean, ideally, if economics weren't an issue, I would advise my client to remove all the existing surfacing and replace it with something more aesthetically pleasing like concrete pavers. I think in this situation, the concrete slab is appropriate. I think pavers in this situation would just be bringing one more material into the area that is really
understood.
Kind of the way it is.
Yeah, but the related walks to that unit are brick.
You know, on the Jackson Street right of way, yes. You know, if the brick were to continue down the Cedar Alley, like along that right of way, I would agree with you that there would be kind of a purpose or a rhyme and reason to using a brick style paver to put for this area. Again, though, I feel like there's enough materials in this location already. The concrete's most appropriate.
I hate to say it, I disagree with you. I think you're going to start making improvements. The improvements shouldn't be justified by what's existing there, but what the guidelines call for.
It's kind of interesting, Ned, and I'm not sure whether, I'm not going to disagree. I'm kind of going to agree with you, but I'm going to put a slightly different twist on it. And that is, my question is, why are you proposing to go 18 feet, 3 inches into that yard rather than terminating the new concrete, basically just extending the apron of the garage?
The existing concrete apron, Jay?
Yeah, extending the existing concrete apron along a line rather than extending it into the yard space.
That's a good point.
And that would, I mean, in concrete, that might be less disturbing than kind of running a concrete slab, what looks like a new parking space next to the garage almost.
So you're kind of saying make a parallel parking spot there.
It can't really ever be more than a parallel parking. Well, no, I guess at 18 feet, 3 inches it could. But yes, I'm saying make a parallel parking space there.
Yeah, using the existing concrete slab.
Right.
Yep, I agree.
And my concern with putting a parking space in perpendicular to the alley is you're putting it close to that tree. You're limiting the growth of that tree. I mean, it's only going to be 2 footish off of the edge of that tree. Whereas if you did a parallel, you're not removing as much of the drainable area, green area. And if you do park a car perpendicular on this up and down on this plan on the screen, you're not going to stick a car on the existing concrete slab because of that foam pole. So I think you're only going to have one effective spot regardless of what you do. So just use the parallel spot for that one effective spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that folks would use this apron to pull into the, adjacent to the gable end of that building. The extension of the concrete into the yard is to provide direct access into, the two different yards that, and be outside of kind of the footprint of a parking space, to have a little bit of.
That's totally reasonable, but that can easily be done with pavers. I mean, just almost stepping stones leading you to those two different gates.
And I can see your point about having that step off area, if you will. But looking at dimensions, that's a 6.2 foot step off area. You don't need more than 3 or 4 for a gate. I think it's trying to be. It really is trying to be a parking space, based upon the angle of the apron and everything else.
Okay, I mean, I understand. Is there an adjustment that we can make that will result in an approval?
In my opinion, I think if you pull that blue line, the blue line that's further west up on the sheet, if you pull that back towards the face of the gable end, because right now that fence line is running into a window. If you look at the picture on the next page.
Well, Anthony, I don't think you so much need to move the fence as move the edge of the concrete.
Well, Jay, what I'm saying is if you look at the fence and plan versus that photo in the bottom left corner of the page on the screen, that fence is going to die into that double sliding door.
Yeah, I agree with you, Anthony. I think the fence needs to come down to the corner too.
You're right.
I'd be at the edge of the door at the most, or bring it down flush with the edge of the building. Either one of those two.
Yep. Yep. He can amend his application, can he?
Yep.
If he wants.
Yeah. So, Mr. Sherrill, you can amend if you like, or we can vote on it as is. Your choice.
Sure. I'm just taking some time, if you will, to just process moving the blue line further towards the alley and what that does to the access to the southern yard. It's going to kind of force the gate into that southern yard, kind of directly in alignment with the existing tree. I mean, I think there's certainly some dimension to move that
why
towards
do
the
you,
alley.
I'm sorry, but why there? If there's a gate on the which way is north on this drawing? Sorry, I'm looking at a small version.
To the right.
Okay, there is already a gate on the south or in the southwest corner of that yard.
Sure.
Why do you need a gate in the northeast corner of that yard?
It's a valid question. I mean, it was kind of a programmatic issue that was brought up by the client, but I mean, it's certainly something that we can do away with. All right, so I'll amend this to have the portion of the fence in blue that's directionally north-south to move to the east edge of the sliding glass door. That'll give a little bit of relief of the fence to the corner of the building, a little bit of extra space for people to be outside of the footprint of a car. what about the material for the surface?
I think we said you could do concrete, especially if you're moving the fence down to that corner.
If you're aligning if you're aligning the west edge of the concrete with the face of the garage, then it can be concrete.
Yep.
It's an extension of the apron.
Okay.
I think that one thing that this also would accomplish is I don't think you need to angle the edge of the concrete. The southern edge of the concrete, I don't think needs to angle anymore. You're creating a parallel parking spot there, and you don't need that turn-in radius, which is, I think, what you've tried to accomplish with that bevel.
It's a tight alley.
I've got no problem with it as that radius.
Anthony, the reason I raised it had to do with what. Whoa, sorry about that. The reason I raised it was actually going back to something you had said and trying to limit the intrusion on the root area of that trait. But I mean, it's a relatively minor amount of additional space, so that's where it came to my head from.
Understood. I think as long as it terminates at the corner, I think of the fence, I think it's, if it angles a little bit, is okay in my opinion.
Okay. Is that what you want to do? Yeah, I'm sorry, Anthony.
You're fine. Ms. Cheryl, is that clear? Are you good on that? Is that what you're asking us to do?
Sure. I think we're primarily in agreement with everything. I think there's just a little bit of question in my mind where the fence is going to go and where the surface of the concrete would stop. From the photo, I'd like the fence to stop, within 4, 5, 6 inches of the east side of the sliding glass door, and then have the surface extend to the fence so that we're not, don't have a separate situation. So we're talking about, the fence being in 1'18" from the corner of the building, and then the concrete extending to the fence.
Yeah, I think as long as the end of the fence is not west past the door frame, I think anywhere between the edge of the building and the door frame is acceptable. Okay. And then whatever you got to do, if you need to have a gate into the south part of that yard separately, I think the only way to make that work is
okay.
Yeah, I think you can make that work from there.
Then I think we're clear.
Okay.
Thanks for working with me.
Commissioners, you guys clear?
Yep.
Any questions? If we got a motion?
Chairman. I'm sorry, which item are we on?
10.
10, thank you. Item GV 20-11-22 250/252 East Jackson Street. I move to approve as amended by the applicant. The concrete will only go, the fence is going to move to 4 or 5 inches on the east side of the door, the sliding glass door, I assume, and the concrete is going to end on the south side as indicated, and on the west side at the fence line.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Farrell seconded. Any questions on the motion? All right, Commissioner Panzer.
Aye.
Commissioner Thiel.
Aye.
Commissioner Farrell.
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy. Commissioner McCoy.
Sorry, was muted. Aye.
All right, chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, and thank you for your effort.
All right, moving on to item 12, GV-20-11. Sorry, I jumped ahead. I skipped ahead. Item 11, GV-20-11-023, 827 City Park Avenue. Do we have Mr. Sauer here?
Here.
All right. There you go. Do you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Evan Sauer, owner.
All right. Thank you. Jacqueline?
This application is proposing to construct a garden shed in the rear southwest area of the backyard. The garden shed is to be movable with no foundation cemented, and the shed is to be constructed with the same wood materials as the house, which is cedar siding and bevel. And the depth of the shed would be 4 feet, the width 8 feet, and the height to be 10 feet at the front and closest to the yard and 9 feet against the fence. So the staff analysis, the shed may need to be reduced in size or in height to be small in scale per the German Village guidelines. Staff recommends approval as submitted with any clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff prior approval prior to issuance of a certificate. And this is based on the recommendations from the German Village guidelines under new buildings, garages, and outbuildings, specifically number 16.
All right. Mr. Sauer, anything else to add?
No, nothing else to add.
All right. Questions, comments from the commission?
I agree with the staff report.
Same here.
Commissioner Farrow, Commissioner McCoy? Concurrence on your part? Got it here. I will say I agree with staff report as well. Mr. Sauer, so the staff report's comments on reducing in height. Any comments on that from your end?
Yeah, I do. Every single house on that, you can see one in the back there. Every adjacent house either has a pergola or a shed that is greater in size, height, and square footage as that. I think where I have it tucked in the corner, I think it's simple in size per the guidelines. You know, the highest part is towards the yard. So if I need to reduce the size, then I guess what you're saying is every single person around me needs to reduce the size of their shed as well, and pergola. You know, so I don't know why is it, what's the height? There's no height requirement. It just has to be simple in size. Why is it too tall?
So looking at the information we have, I can see one picture with a structure adjacent, and there's a significant difference in height in that picture there alone. The location being right up against the property line as opposed to set into the yard, I think is another condition to consider. I think that's where I stand on the height issue.
So the adjacent shed that you're looking at, actually my grade is a lot higher. So height wise, it's actually the same. I can pull up some other photos as some adjacent sheds that are way taller than this. If you would like, I can share my screen. I can also share my screen of pergolas that are a lot higher than this as well.
The pergola is a different function and it's occupied space. This is not occupied space. This is simply storage.
Okay.
This is also, in effect, it is creating a 9-foot tall fence along a neighboring property. The visual impact of it is a 9-foot tall fence along an adjacent property, which is just not in keeping with the spirit of what's intended.
Yeah, it's not massing.
Well, it's not with the surrounding sheds. Every single neighbor has the exact same, well, actually higher and larger than this shed. This is the smallest shed height-wise and width and square footage-wise than every single adjacent neighbor. And every single shed is against the fence. It's not just mine.
Well, massing refers to square footage versus height.
I understand. Height theirs is bigger than mine or the same size height-wise.
What about square footage?
Square footage, mine is a lot smaller. I'm 4'8". They are
that's my point.
What do you mean by that? I'm sorry.
That the bigger square footage on a shed, the massing can make it taller, whereas this is extremely vertical.
So you're saying
That is odd.
if I increase the square footage, I can have a 10-foot shed?
It would be extremely unusual for us to have a spring line on a shed be 9 feet tall, period. And I think the degree to which I agree with what Commissioner Thiel is saying is if you had a 6-foot spring line on a gable style shed that was 12 feet wide, you might wind up with a 10-foot ridge. But you're not going to start at 9 feet and go to 10 feet. And by the way, I'm not saying that that would be approved. I'm just saying the starting point of a shed that's up against a property line like this, it just can't be. This is visually out of scale.
Okay. It's not seen from the right of way. It's tucked into the side of it. These are all landlocked properties back here. These are all rear yards. You can't see them from any street. So that's another issue. You could see the shed in the back there, that white shed.
Sorry, are those other photographs that I just saw a photograph that I don't think we'd seen? That one?
Yes. So you can see the size of the white shed behind me there. That's to the rear.
Yeah, but I can't compare it to your shed because I can't figure out height or anything else.
Well, right. I mean, I didn't measure the neighbor's shed.
Okay, fair.
I can pull up if I'm able to share my screen, I could pull up another photo that I do have that might shed light if it's going to be helpful at all.
Douglas, are you okay with moving the share role to Evan?
Yeah, he should be able to hit share screen. Do you see share as an option on the bottom bar? Okay, go for it. I stopped sharing mine.
All right, let me pull up. Let's see here. So are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
So if you can see the cursor, this is my shed here. You can see the not only the size, but the square footage and the height of this white shed directly behind me. Then you have another shed to the north of me, and then you have a massive shed directly to the north of that property. I mean, I'm surrounded by just massive sheds. So, when I should have gotten a COA before and approval before I built this. I understand the process. But, in my mind, I was thinking that this was simple and within the realm of the guidelines. So. And again, these houses directly behind me, this is in front of them is Pearl Street. This is their rear yard. So these are all landlocked back here. There's no view from this side as well.
From my perspective, that's the picture that sells it right here.
Because of the context?
Context. It looks like it's kind of in keeping with the shed to the left over there.
Yeah, I find that curious.
So.
How tall is that shed to the left? Do you know?
I don't. Again, I didn't measure it. So, I mean, judging by the height that it extends above the fence, it looks roughly the same size against
Well,
the fence as
I'm
mine.
looking at the.
I can't.
I'm looking at the wood colored shed, not the white shed, because
Yeah.
there's something weird going on with the fence that's there and everything else. But the shed that's off to the left, to the extreme left, appears to be its low end appears to be quite close to the top of the fence. That coupled, well, I can't tell whether the roof is the same angle or not, but
Yeah, I can't either.
it looks like it's a good couple of feet shorter than this shed. Without measuring it, you can't know, but the proportions of this thing are strange.
Strange enough for a negative vote from you, Jay? I think we need to take
barring having any more information, certainly, based on certainly at least as an exemplar of the one on the left, I have trouble getting a yes vote from this. The context certainly helps.
You're making the case for the sheds around you, and typical like an alleyway. I'd like to know what those other shed dimensions are. I mean, it's already up. It's a matter of, can you wait to continue another month and get those heights for us?
I mean, it's already, my shed's already up. So yeah, I can do that. I don't necessarily. Do I feel comfortable doing that? I can ask them.
Neighbors.
Yeah, I know. I'm very friendly with my neighbors. I could certainly ask them. Yeah, I mean, I can. You're right. It does look like it is close to the fence. This is not a very good depiction of that. It is the same size as mine, roughly height-wise. And if you need me to get the dimensions of that, I can.
I would feel more comfortable about knowing what the context of your shed is in comparison, and since you're making the case, in comparison to the ones around it.
Sure. I don't mind.
I mean, I would not want to vote no for this, only to find out that what you have is very similar to what's adjacent to it.
Now, what height would you approve? If I was going to amend this today, obviously that's dependent upon me being able to shorten this thing with ease. What height would you approve?
My opinion is the easy slam dunk is 6 foot ish at the fence side, up to 7 foot at the yard side. I think you might be able, probably 7 to 8 might be even achievable. But again, we need to see it in context.
I'd state it a little bit differently, Anthony, and I think if you look at the front elevation of this thing, if you basically take the point at which the roof intersects the front door, if you drop the roof until the roof came right over the trim of the front door. I mean, if you're looking for an answer right now, that would probably be my answer. I don't know what that dimension is, but I'd probably say just get rid of the entire eyebrow of this thing, and you've still got the height of the door, which is what you really need in terms of getting inside.
I believe it's 7 feet, if I remember the door.
Probably. I mean, that's the slam dunk, but I'm not saying you need to do the slam dunk.
No. I mean, obviously, this is. I don't have a garage. This is my only outside storage. So the most, and I went for the height as opposed to the massive square footage. So I guess, so you're saying that you wouldn't approve it this way. You can see the context. I can see if I can get the dimensions of specifically the the neighbor with the brown shed, and then I could see if I get the other ones as well, and then we could continue this.
Yeah, and again, this meeting is next week, and the next hearing is first Tuesday of the 1st. So you got 3 weeks, I think.
Okay.
And ground level photographs that showed them showed the context better would be helpful as well.
Okay.
So you'd like us to continue?
Yes, let's continue it.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Item number GV 20-11 023 827 City Park Avenue. I move to continue.
Second, A. Panzer.
Any questions on the motion? Take the vote. Commissioner Panzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Thiel?
Aye.
Ferriel?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Sauer.
Thank you.
All right, running a little bit behind here. Item number 12, GV-20-11-024, 1054 Pearl Street. We have Grand Canal Properties or Daniel Newman. Anyone for 1054 Pearl Street?
Speaking of sheds.
All right, moving on to item number 13, GV-20-11-025, 797 South 6th Street.
Yes, Craig Kent here.
Mr. Kent, please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Craig Kent.
Thank you. Jacqueline?
Okay, so this application is proposing to replace the existing 5-foot 7-inch painted vertical slatwood fence with a new horizontal fence, which is using approximately 1 inch by 6 inch pressure treated lumber with crisp edges, with 4x4 inch posts spaced every 4 feet on the center, and vertical spacing to be 1 by 6 inches, with a 1/2 inch to have a 3 to 4 inch reveal at the bottom, and the fence to be 6 foot at the finished height. The applicant would like to reconnect the lawn bolts at the end with the 4x4 inch post to the existing metal fence and gates. So the proposed fence does seem to be a simple wood design and may be appropriate due to the location. The staff does recommend approval as submitted with any clarifications to be submitted to staff prior to issuance of a certificate. And this is based on the German Village Guidelines, fences and walls, specifically number 3.
All right. Mr. Kent, do you have anything else to add?
I do not.
All right. Questions, comments from the commission?
Yeah, could HBO cite what they just referenced?
Yeah, so that says in fence construction, use traditional forms. Picket fences are appropriate, as are plain board fences, vertical boards nailed side by side, and parallel stringers. For side yards, traditional loop top wire fencing is both available and appropriate, as is simple iron fencing and historic designs.
Yeah, my opinion, this does not comply with that.
Can you clarify that a little bit more for me, please, so I understand?
What you're proposing does not match what she just described.
Specifically, picket fences appropriate, plain board fences, vertical nailed.
Vertical.
Side by side.
Okay, so the use of horizontal within the village has not been approved then?
It has been, but very non-visible back of the yard areas. This is very visible.
So that example right there, is on 3rd Street.
Yeah, and I don't think that was, approved.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't remember having
I'm not sure about that,
one.
but yeah, we've actually, there has been discussion about that fence. There are 2 that I know that we've approved. One is a short fence in front of Bill Hugis's old house on Mohawk.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is alongside the house at the corner of Grant and Sycamore.
Yeah.
Yeager and Sycamore.
I think it's Yeager, not yeah.
It is Yeager, yeah. It's a new build. And here's what I would just like to throw out, at least. Under normal circumstances, I would have a problem with it, and I am concerned about the materiality and what happens with horizontal board fences and bowing. Weird things can happen because water will sit on the top edge of the boards. The one thing that I think is a fairly strong mitigating factor here is the nature of the house, the nature of the structure, and the horizontal cues in the majority of the distance that this fence would be seen against. And I'm not sure that it gets me there, but that I think is worth pointing out.
I'm not sure the architecture of the existing house is justification for making an exception for this fence. In suburbia,
I'm not sure either, Ned. I just wanted to throw it out there.
No, I'm just responding, Jay. I think suburban area, you want to do what you want to do, that's fine. This is we're uptight on each other.
I think if this was, if it was rear yard, I think the thing that's going against horizontal in this location is it's right against a very visible lot. I mean, it's going to be a very long horizontal run of fence.
Long.
Yeah.
I think that's really what's driving me against this specific location. If it was spanning a short distance or between two structures, I think it's more appropriate. But to go horizontal for that entire long horizontal run, I think it's not appropriate in this location.
So is it a detailing problem as much as anything else, Anthony, that you've got?
It's a size. I mean, you're taking an already very long.
No,
fence.
I understand that, but for instance, the existing fence has got posts every 8 feet, and it's got inset panels.
Mm-hmm.
If just theorizing here, if you changed the vertical boards on this fence to horizontal boards, would you have the same problem?
If the posts were proud and visible,
yeah. I'm not trying to design at the table. I'm trying to see where the real issue is.
I think if the panels were kept,
sorry,
you're good. I think if the panels were kept to short distance, 6 foot max, I think I wouldn't want to stretch them out. I think what's there currently may be more than 6 feet, maybe 8.
You're being generous. They're actually 8 to 10 feet. None of them are the same. It was approved at an 8 foot, I believe, prior to us moving in. But there is not a single post that is equidistant from the next.
That's normal.
Yeah, I think if you went horizontal, the only way I could get there is if the panel sections were made shorter, 6 foot-ish,
like 6 by 6 panels in between 6 by 6 or 6 by 6 inch posts or 4 by 4 inch posts, whatever.
Yeah, 6 foot on center. I think that's more appropriate.
I kind of get your point. I think that may be where the I agree. Continuous line. My biggest problem with a continuous line of that fence as it's currently designed is it's not going to look like in the real world. It's not going to look like as it's drawn.
No,
you're just not going to see it that way.
I am not going for 8 feet.
Pardon me?
I would be going for a 4 foot post. So 4 foot to 4 foot post. I would definitely be minimizing. I do not want, to your point, Jay, I've dealt with boards that long and I would never hang a board 8 foot by 8 foot. So it would definitely be from the 4 foot to the 6 foot range.
But the detailing that you've got shows the boards nailed to the face of the post rather than inset panelized going post to post between the boards going between the posts.
Yeah,
I think that's where we're having the. You're absolutely right. I mean, and I appreciate you understanding that that literally running a 10-foot span, even or even an 8-foot span, because you can get 16-foot boards, is not something that would be a really wise thing to do. But I think that the problem that a lot of people are having, and I think I probably agree to it too, the idea, or agree with that too, is the idea of having an 80-foot long, visually continuous horizontal line there is.
Well, Jay, the other thing is the constructability of making it that perfect is almost impossible. And it's to look, it would have to be perfect.
If it were continuous, you're absolutely right. I don't know how impossible it is. I mean, but my problem is that what might be perfect on day one is not going to be perfect in year 5.
Right. Right.
I mean, I've got a 15-year-old vertical fence here, and it was really built, and even it's now has problems. But I think that going horizontal, and there are two things that I would say. One is I would send those boards through a planer to make the top and bottom at a very slight angle, so that you don't wind up with water sitting on the top and bottom edge of it, even a 5-degree angle. But the other thing has to do with the panelization and running from post to post, interior to or between the posts rather than on the face of the post.
And my only other question for the commission would be the height. 6-foot vertical boards have a certain look to them. 6-foot tall, made of horizontal boards. Is that appropriate, or does the horizontal nature lend itself to being a shorter?
I think once you put the posts on, boy, I just had another thought, and this may be something even more screwy than what we've considered. First of all, I think that if you interrupted, and Anthony, this goes back to what is an outgrowth of what you said, if you went post to post rather than on the face of the posts, you'd get rid of a lot of that feeling of additional height of the interrupted of the boards, the horizontal boards. But the other thing I'm wondering, and this is going to sound really screwy coming from me, is what happens if this is a case where you put posts in every 6 feet and you let the posts exist on the outside of the fence rather than the inside of the fence, and you nail the boards to the inside of the posts? I know we always talk about good side being facing out, but in this particular case with a horizontal board, is the good side the post side?
I think that's going to be a hard one to sell based on everybody else is going to say you put the good side on the inside.
Well, it's okay.
Seems like we're going to change all the precedents.
Yeah.
It was a
precedent for everything we normally disapprove.
I think that all of our guidelines have said vertical fencing. And I also think the intersection of the iron fence in the front, I mean, you have a vertical picket. It is a contemporary vertical picket. And I think it's going to look odd in terms of how it intersects a horizontal fence, because that's two totally different vocabularies.
Good point.
Yeah, I think our goal as homeowners, we're trying to match that aesthetic of the new build that we have on the back of the house. So if we don't go vertical, we'll probably push for no fence at all then.
Okay.
I mean, that's where we would probably get to, but we were hoping, given that there had seemed to be precedent in the village for these horizontal fences on 3 different occasions that we've seen. And they match along with the houses. So Bill's house, the house that I've presented, and then also the house on Yeager and Sycamore. All 3 of those have the horizontal, they go along with either a craftsman style build house or a new build style house.
To me, the only one that really plays to this is the one on Yeager, Yeager and Sycamore. That's the example that lets me get there. But and it's not without problems. I would be okay going post to post. I think that my suggestion of going to the back of the posts would not really work. It makes the posts too proud, and it makes it too obvious what you're doing.
I think what you're suggesting, Jay, would not be a contemporary fence.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the problem is the horizontal contemporary fence, what really makes it look contemporary is how clean it is. in terms of what gets expressed in the fencing. And so, by the time you start to look at all these different things that break up that long horizontal line, you no longer have a very contemporary fence.
So we built our house based off of a build that was 1,300 years old in the Netherlands in a very cityscape area, and they have a horizontal fence. So that's the look that we were going for, was to match the aesthetic. So I have to disagree in that regards, but you are the board. And also, I apologize that I presented the house on 3rd. I did not know that that was not board approved.
And one more note about the horizontals. The house on Mohawk, it's a very short fence. It's not a tall fence. It's only about waist high out front. So horizontal fences, we're seeing more requests for them. And I'm trying to wrap my head around how can we find a way that fit these within the historic district and the historic guidelines. And since our guidelines don't specifically call out horizontal board fences, we got to make sure we find a way it's appropriate for the village.
If we were to reduce the height of the fence, Anthony, and to the board, if we were to reduce the height of the fence to, say, a 48-inch 4-foot, and then I have no druthers of removing the wrought iron that's currently vertical to match, or putting in a horizontal wood gate there as well. We also have a vertical slat on the back that's wrought iron that I would easily replace to go with a shorter horizontal. It's really, we currently don't really have privacy with that fence that's there. Schmitz continues to, as you can see, there's multiple boards that have been hit. An F-350 will go through that fence every probably, I don't know, 3 weeks. We've had a priest in our front yard that crashed the front of the fence. So it was hopeful also that we could replace one height of a board every time instead of replacing multiple vertical slats every time. So that, again, we're open to reducing the height. I'm open to reducing and removing that wrought iron and replacing it with something else if that's something that the board would consider in the future.
And I think remove that fence, that black fence right there. I don't think that's an issue. That's set pretty far back from the street. You got the main structure, the porch L-shaped structure, then the addition. This is back at the addition portion. So I think if that becomes fencing to match the other, I don't think it's a big issue on my end. If we reduce the height, I think that mitigates a lot of my concerns with it. And if we make it more quote unquote panelized at 6 foot on centers, I think that even helps break up some of that linear longitudinal aspect of the fence. I think that gets me into something that's more appropriate or more acceptable in the village.
I think to Karen's point, though, and maybe this is only partly to Karen's point, it's all in the details. And I think that, it's really simplistic for us to say, just take the board, the boards on the kind of fence that is there now and turn them horizontally. And I'm not saying that that's what you want to do, but the devil is in the details. What happens at the bottom? What happens at the top? Do you just stop it? Do you, how do the posts, if you've got, now you've got a 4x4 or a 6x6 expressed post, how does that end at the top? And that may just need to be something that gets figured out. And then the issue with the wrought iron fence is, do you have a wood gate made of the same type of design and detail as this long fence, or do you design a different type of wrought iron fence to play nicely with that fence?
Okay.
I can see the purely saying, I would not say I would never accept a predominantly horizontal fence there. It's going to depend on the details.
I would agree.
So I don't think we can approve without the details.
Sure.
So I think if you'd like to continue next month. Again, it's 3 weeks out. If you want to put some details together and get back to us at that meeting, I think that would be really okay. Is that something you'd like to do?
That sounds good, Anthony. Thank you.
Okay.
I know Bill Hugus is on after me, so if he's ready to take on another job, he can call me.
We'll let you and him talk through that. Is there a
Thank you
motion
so
on
much.
continuing?
Mhm.
Thank
There
you.
is, Mr. Chairman, I have a motion on agenda item number 13, GV 20-11-025-797 South 6 to continue at the owner's request, applicant's request.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? We'll take the vote. Commissioner Panzer,
Aye.
Commissioner Thiel,
Aye.
Commissioner Ferriel, Commissioner Jeff. Jeff Ferriel.
Sorry, muted. Aye.
All right, Commissioner McCoy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're at 6:20. Kind of ways to go. Staff, are you available to stick on?
I'm available. Is other staff okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm available, yeah.
Commissioners, you all good still?
Yep.
I'm going to take a 2-minute break.
Okay. I propose we keep on going forward with Jeff Ferriel taking the break. Item number 14, GV-20-11-026, 759 South 5th Street. We have Mr. Huggins already on the record. Jacqueline?
I'm here.
Okay, so this application is proposing to change a previously approved plans, specifically extending a dormer 2 feet west, and this would be cantilevered. And the applicant notes that all windows are to remain as approved. So staff does recommend approval as submitted with any clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff. The dormer in question is not visible from the right of way, and then those recommendations are based on the standards of alteration, specifically number 12.
All right. Mr. Huggins, anything else to add?
No, it's not visible. I tried looking from Macon Alley. You can't see anything either. So the neighbor to the north has a similar condition. To me, this is not something I would do very often, but it does buy me enough space upstairs that they were starting to talk about adding a dormer on the addition east face. And I said, absolutely not. I don't want to see that from the street. There's already too many dormers facing the street. So this was a kind of a compromise, and it gives me a little protection for the glass doors facing west in the backyard, and that's all. I will give you construction documents, of course. I just quickly put this together.
Hey, Bill, why are you not just making the dormer as wide as the house and keeping a rake board on the side of it? It's really not a dormer anymore.
Well, you're right. I just thought there might be a chance from 5th Street, looking down the side yard, I'm trying to not see that new dormer at all from the street. And
I think I think if you kept the rake on the side and you took the dormer out to that edge, it would still work.
It still would work? Well, I'm not against that. That's just more space
Yeah, I mean, this is odd.
It is odd. I
would just go for it. Have that second story hang out over the first story and put the rake on it.
Yeah, flush north to south with the 2-foot overhang would be totally agreeable to us.
Yeah. I highly recommend just go for it and do that.
All right. I would like to amend the application to reflect that.
Now, the other ones may not agree with me, Bill.
That's okay.
I'm on the same page.
Amend it back, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm on the same page with Commissioner Thiel. Is there another person on the same page?
I'm on the same page with Commissioner Thiel.
So these three. All right.
Item 14, GV-20-11-076, 759 South 5th Street. I move to approve as amended, with the dormer being the full width of or depth, whichever way you want to look at it, of the addition, and keeping the rake board on the south side.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Take the vote. Commissioner Panzer.
Aye.
Commissioner Thiel.
Aye.
Commissioner Ferriel.
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Ayes have it. Motion passes. Moving on to item. Thank you. Item number 15, GV-20-11-027, 37 East Columbus Street. Mr. There we go. Mr. Kelly, please raise your right hand. I'm looking for your camera. Looking for your camera. Not seeing you. There we go. I see you now. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Peter Kelly, owner.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Jacqueline?
Okay, so this application is proposing to replace the existing steel doors at the front and the rear with fiberglass doors by MMI door. Doors are to be painted red and in the Craftsman 3-panel shaker style with jam and molding to be black. So the applicant has submitted some additional photos following the October 20th business meeting. There was no records found regarding past approvals of the installation of metal doors. And then staff notes that fiberglass doors have been previously approved for rear doors that are not visible from the public right of way in the village. So staff does recommend that the front door that is visible from the street be wood with trim to be corrected. And that is based on the standards of alteration number 12.
All right. Mr. Kelly, anything to add?
No, sir.
All right. Questions, comments from the commission?
I went to Google last night or whatever it is, map, whatever, looking for this. And I see the door on the east side with the awning. Now I'm seeing pictures that looks like, is that the east? That's the west side, is it not?
Correct, sir. That's the west side.
And the east side it's almost an identical situation on the other side, right?
It's correct. I mean, it's a side door with that on.
Okay, so the door that's in the aluminum siding, where is that at?
That's in the rear of the home, sir, on the southwest side. It's not visible from the street. And I will add that both these doors were previously installed when I moved in or purchased the property.
So is this a duplex?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So that explains what's going on. Okay.
And if you look at the street view, the door originally was on the actual street side of the house. You can see it bricked up.
Yeah, that's what I couldn't figure out. Okay. Gotcha. Are these approved doors, or is that what the issue is?
They're metal doors. I don't know if we have a record of approval, or we did not find a record of.
No. I mean the new doors.
The new doors are both fiberglass material. So for a front view, staff would recommend more of a wood door. However, for rear doors, fiberglass has been approved in the past. We don't have like a list of recommended doors.
We've approved fiberglass for front doors, but only doors that we've had samples of and approved.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what we should do here. I'm just saying that that's been common lately.
And commissioners, I do believe in my file I have renderings of the doors. They'll be red in color with a 3-panel Craftsman design, which is reflective of the architectural period.
So, can I ask you where you got the renderings from?
I don't want to misspeak. I contracted through Lowe's, and I believe they got them directly from MMI.
Okay, because typically the bottom rail is substantially higher or wider than the side rails and the top rail. I'm looking at this and it's almost the same. It's odd.
When I looked at the website, that was the design.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at their website right now. The problem is we don't know. We haven't seen these doors. I have not seen these doors. So the big issue that we have with fiberglass doors is that most of them, they're two things. One is that the relief can be very, very shallow. And two, which is actually as large or a larger problem, is that they can be a faux wood grain door, which is something that our regular wood door doesn't have wood grain expressed. It's painted flat.
Correct, sir. These are, I can affirm that these are going to be flat and painted. So there's no There will not be a synthetic grain added to the cut.
And we know that as a fact because of
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but the question, I can't find anything on MMI's detail that talks about what the finish of the door is, what the actual finish of the material is.
I'd have to refer back to my estimate, but no, I did ask for the flat finish. There was an option for a grain finish, but to be reflective of the community, went with the flat finish.
Actually, I'm seeing that on MMI's website, they do have an option for a smooth fiberglass door.
Correct, and that is what both doors will be, sir.
Okay.
And Ned, to your comment about that bottom of the door, the MMIs definitely have a very thin lower portion. The Therma-Tru on Lowe's have the larger, so it's a manufacturer difference.
Yeah.
It's pretty standard across all their doors.
A lot of different doors from that company. Wow.
I'm looking at the same thing. Yeah, I don't have any problem if that's the way the door's made. As far as the bottom rail goes, that's fine. You could get a custom door that would be 5 times the expense that could do the same thing. So
not in fiberglass, you couldn't.
No, true.
Okay.
Oh, goodness. Mr. Chairman, I have a motion on agenda item number 15, GV 20-11-027. Am I at the right place? Yeah.
Yes.
It's 37 East Columbus Street to approve as submitted.
Second.
Is there a clarification required about smooth fiberglass?
Probably worth, I mean, I understand it's on the application, but it is worth saying that the finish shall be smooth fiberglass.
Okay. All right. Any questions on the motion? Take the vote. Commissioner Panzer.
Aye.
Commissioner Thiel.
Aye.
Commissioner Ferriel.
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it.
Jennifer, have you fed the little monster?
Hey, Jay.
Oh, good. Oh, sorry, I haven't seen it.
You're not muted.
Oh, poor Faye. Thank you very much, Ms. Kelly. All right. Moving on to item number 16, GV-20-11-028, 566 South 4th Street. We still have Mr. Hughes. Bill, you still there?
He's showing up on the participants list.
Bill, you're
looks like he
muted
might
if
be
you're talking.
muted.
Last call for Mr. Hughes.
I think he might be muted, and I don't think I'm able to unmute him.
I see him. Chat.
Oh, you're muted.
All right, we'll make a note to come back to him. Hopefully he can get unmuted. We'll move on to item number 17, GV-20-11-029, 1120 South Pearl Street. Cara Miller.
Yes.
All right, looking for your camera. There you are. Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Cara Miller.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Jacqueline.
Okay, so this application is proposing to remove 3 trees from the front yard and to replace with 3 10 to 12 foot upright European hornbeams, to relay a brick walkway to slope away from the foundation using base gravel, and have concrete removed along the foundation and replaced with new bricks. And then the applicant notes that polymeric sand with new joints would be used to finish, and that they would be removing existing concrete steps and replacing with new concrete steps. So the landscaping project was completed last year, and the landscaper was supposed to take care of the COA request, but the owner never received the COA after the completion of the work, and is asking now to request a COA once they realize they didn't receive that for this completed work. The landscaping plan that we have is from 2017, but this application was pulled and not completed, so the list of work completed just the word text list where work has taken place, and that is reflected in the existing photos. The staff does recommend approval as submitted with any clarifications to be submitted to staff prior to the issuance of a certificate. This is based on the standards for site improvements, letter A.
All right, thank you, Jacqueline. Applicant, have anything else to add?
I do not.
Okay. Questions, comments from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion on agenda item number 17, application GV 20-11-029, 1120 South Pearl Street to approve as submitted.
Second.
Second. Oh,
All right. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. Commissioner Panzer.
Aye.
Commissioner Thiel.
Aye.
Commissioner Farrell.
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy.
aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Hughes, do you have your mic back on yet?
His name seems to have disappeared.
He disappeared.
Yeah, he was there. Now he's gone.
All right.
He's not in the participants list.
No, he disappeared.
Okay.
We'll keep on moving forward. Item 18, GB-20-11-030, 640 Mohawk Street.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself from this.
All right.
Hi, I'm Elena Andrews. I'm here as the applicant.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your name one more time for the record.
Elena Andrews.
Thank you. Jacqueline.
Okay, so this application is proposing the concrete sidewalk was removed due to poor condition and a new mud slab was poured as the base for the brick sidewalk. So the application is proposing to retain that mud slab. It would also like to install a brick path on top of that existing slab, connecting the sidewalk to the front door. The brick would be Belgian Velcret 500 paver in a herringbone pattern. And path would match the existing walkway dimensions that are currently there now. The brick would be installed on a gravel bed of limestone, and limestone bed to be placed on top of the existing concrete base. The edges of the path will be lined with a soldier course of brick mortared down to the concrete base to keep the interior field of brick and limestone in place. And the applicant is willing to install holes in the existing concrete base, which can be drilled every 12 inches to allow water to travel through. And the applicant notes that the concrete is sloped away from the house. And then in clarification to the question that the commissioners had at the business meeting, the applicant notes that the holes would be 1 inch in diameter, and they would be centered in a square grid pattern that runs parallel to the house. So following the October 20th business meeting, the applicant submitted some updated information, which we just read there, concerning the holes, as well as additional photos of the existing site. So staff recommends approval as submitted, but with any clarifications to be submitted to staff prior to the issuance of a certificate, and that is based on the standards for site improvements, letter A.
Right. Ms. Andrews, anything else to add?
The only thing that I would add is that what you see on the screen right now is the proposed landscape plan. We wanted to show you that in advance of our original application of the brick sidewalk, we went ahead and prepared the landscape plan so you can get an idea of what the entire site would look like in addition to the brick.
Great. I appreciate the landscape plan. I was wondering what happened to all the trees that were there originally, so. All right, commissioners, questions, comments?
Is there additional paving behind the residence? To the east of the residence?
There's a small pathway that connects along the side of the house. I'm not showing it on the plan. That was done prior to my involvement in the project.
I understand, but isn't there a patio behind the L?
I believe there is, yes.
And was that patio not laid in the same manner, or isn't there a concrete pad back there as well?
That I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Here.
Any other questions, comments? Commissioner McCoy, any thoughts? Landscaping?
Landscaping looks appropriate to me.
Yep. No more comments or questions. Is there a motion?
Mr. Commissioner, on item 19 GV, I'm not I'm on the wrong one here. GV 20 11-030 640 Mohawk Street, I make a motion to approve as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
I think I heard Commissioner Ferriel have a second there. I will make one clarification that the drilling of the concrete base 12 inches, the last bullet point there, it's being done to mitigate a condition that was done prior to approval, that we are not approving a concrete base as a matter of course. Any questions on the motion? We'll take the vote. Commissioner Panzer?
No.
Commissioner Deals recused. Commissioner Ferriel?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to agenda item 19. Yes, 19 GV-20-11-030, 1156 Yeager Street. Let the record show Ms. Andrews is still on the record. Jacqueline?
Yeah, so this application is proposing to replace the existing concrete pathway and concrete paver patio and pathways with new permeable brick pathway and a patio in a similar location. The applicant would like the addition of a small compacted gravel patio for additional seating space. Existing flagstone used for the pathways is to be reused for a new seating area, as well as for steppers in the landscape beds. The applicant would like to reconfigure existing wood fence to allow for a larger yard space using existing wood panels. The applicant would also like to reconfigure the landscape beds by removing old overgrown plant material, but maintaining most of the mature landscape and infilling with new landscaping. And they would also like to add an enclosure to their trash cans per the submitted materials. So the applicant has updated materials to include the enclosure of the trash cans, which are currently open to the alleyway, and they would like to enclose them due to issues with passerby throwing trash in the cans. So staff does recommend approval as submitted with any clarifications to be submitted to staff prior to issuance of their certificate, and that is based on the standards for site improvements, or specifically letter A.
All right, Ms. Andrews, anything else to add?
No, the only thing I would like to add is regarding the trash enclosure in the back. We decided to see if it was an option for us to actually enclose it because, as Jacqueline mentioned, that they are having issues with people walking down the alleyway and workmen in the area using their trash enclosures. And so we wanted to basically just notch it out and then continue the angle and create just gates that would match the same height as the existing fence to try to keep it as seamless as possible, but just give the owners the opportunity to protect their trash a little bit better. But if that is an issue, they are certainly willing to take that off the table. We're open for discussion on that point.
All right, questions, comments from the commission?
Two questions. One is, it is not specified, the base material for the brick walk and patio is not specified. Can we assume that we're talking about a compacted base rather than concrete?
Correct. Yes. The base on this would actually be a 6 inches of 57s gravel and then 9 inches. So 6 inches of the 57 gravel, 2 inches of the 9s, and then a permeable brick paver because the owners are very conscious of wanting to try to be as water conscious as possible and maintain the existing health of their trees and plant material. So there is no concrete base under any of the hardscape proposed.
So, first of all, bravo to your clients for wanting to do this. I do, however, have a question on the Belden paver. Are these bricks or are these concrete pavers?
They are clay pavers.
They're clay pavers.
That's not concrete.
Cool. Something new in the toolbox. Okay, that's all I got.
Thank you.
I do have, so on the trees, existing trees, just making sure we understand what's happening. The existing tree that's kind of in line with the midway back the property is staying, it looks like. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What looks like a large tree in front of that is being removed, correct?
That is correct. They had Bartlett arborists out there to look at it, and they've been trying to save the tree as long as they can, and it's now beyond saving, and Bartlett has recommended that they tear it down.
Okay. And then looking at the remainder of the trees on the site, it looks like the rest of the existing trees are significant trees are all staying put, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Elena, from the perspective of the one member of the commission without an architectural background, I really want to tell you how much I appreciate the detail in both this and the last proposal. So the aerial views, the detailed photographs, everything is very, very helpful to me. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And then the one question I have, looking at the hardscape plan and landscape plan, it looks like the landscape is showing a new tree, the CCP tree.
Yes, that is a new dogwood.
Okay. I'm not seeing that on the hardscape plan. Is that just due to trying to make sure that the hardscape plan is clean and readable?
Exactly. The only one that we were showing on the hardscape plan is the existing pine tree that is remaining.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion on agenda item number 18, GV 20-11-030, 640 Mohawk, to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion?
Wrong address.
I think it's 19.
No.
Oh, it's the wrong. Sorry.
It's
19 1156 Yeager.
Sorry.
Yeager Street.
Let me go back. Scroll up or scroll down, whatever it is.
Try again, Jay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion on agenda item number 19, GV 20-11-031, 1156 Yeager Street, to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions?
One clarification is that with the fence enclosure for the trash can?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
my was, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Just wanted to clarify.
Perfect.
All right. Commissioner Panzer.
Aye.
Commissioner Thiel.
Aye.
Commissioner Ferriel.
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
On to item number 20. It's the last of the applications for conceptuals. GV-20-11-032, 40 East Whittier Street. Looking for Gunzelman Architecture.
Yes.
All right. Heard your voice. I'm looking for your face.
Yeah.
Looking. There we go. Mr. Green, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Kyle Green.
Thank you. Jacqueline.
Okay, so this application is proposing a garage repair and some alterations. The applicant would like to remove the existing foundation wall that does not meet the frost depth and does not support the building from freeze thaw, and is also creating a racking of the bearing walls. And they would like to pour a new footing. They also like to replace the existing roof and the damaged roof joists with new members. This is due to the deterioration of the roof. They like to install 3-tab shingles from the approved list. The applicant would like to remove the wood siding and wall framing as needed to replace the foundation. That may have been written incorrectly, but removing and rebuilding of walls will be required to perform the work. Proposed siding to be 6-inch horizontal wood drop channel or Dutch lap. The applicant would like to reinstall the existing building material to the fullest extent possible. They would be salvaging siding, wood trim, and the wood fascia, wood framing, half-round gutters, and downspouts for reuse and the reconstruction of the existing garage, if feasible. The applicant would like to restore the boarded over door and install new wood casement windows from the approved windows list. New doors and a wider garage door they would like to install to improve maneuverability. The garage door would be 10 foot wide and 8 feet high. It would be wood paneled to match the existing, and they would also like to install new gooseneck lighting. So the commissioners did note at the October 20th business meeting that any new siding should match the existing, and staff does recommend approval as submitted with any clarifications to be submitted to staff prior to approval. And the basis for the staff recommendation is that the proposed work generally is consistent with standards for alteration.
Anything else to add, Mr. Green?
Just briefly to comment, I know we've presented a couple of times this revised proposal. Since the last time we were here, we had a structural engineer come and visit the site, and we've submitted his report as well, along with the home inspection reports that we previously submitted. Basically, the summary was great. If we have any questions, please feel free.
I just want to, on the record, just say this application is light years better than what was previously come before us, and I want to applaud the effort on that part for saving this type of structure like this.
I second that wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
I have just one first of all, yes, I agree with absolutely with what Dan and Anthony just said. I just want to make sure that you understand that you are technically making a minor tweak and requesting a change amendment to the application to specify that you use siding that matches the profile of the existing siding.
Yes, we're going to do. Obviously, we're going to have to dismantle the existing garage to redo the foundation. We're going to
No, I understand. Everything was great except we got to one point talking about horizontal 6-inch horizontal wood drop channel or Dutch lap. However you define it, it needs to match the existing, because you're kind of patching in between reusing existing and new. Obviously, it needs to match the existing. That's all.
Yeah. Yep. And since then, we've gone back and created, measured and created a detail, and we're gonna.
Perfect. That
submitted that.
You want us to amend your application to indicate that.
Okay.
That's yes, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's all.
Sorry.
That's fine. Mr. Chairman, I have a motion on application number 20, GV 20-11-03240 East Whittier Street, to approve the application as amended by the applicant to indicate that the profile of where necessary reproduced siding matched the existing siding.
I second.
Any questions on the motion? I do have one small request for the applicant. Since you could be essentially boarding over the previously boarded over openings, but we are able to see where they're at, I'm assuming some of the interior framing might be cleaned up and taken away. If that's the case, is it possible to get dimensions on your drawings of the openings that are being completely removed? So in the future, there's still a record of that in the file.
Yeah, in the existing drawings, I can absolutely do that. Yeah.
It'd be fantastic. It is a really great example of a historic piece of fabric that we have the information at hand now, and if it goes away permanently, I just want to make sure we had that for the record.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions on the motion? All right, take the vote. Commissioner Panzer.
Aye.
Commissioner Thiel.
Aye.
Commissioner Ferriel.
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it. Thank you very much, Mr. Green.
Thank you.
All right, we're on to conceptuals. Staff, are you still okay to go through the conceptuals time-wise?
I'm okay. Is other staff okay?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, you all still good to go?
Yep.
Sure.
All right, GV-20-11-033, 175 East Deschler. Mr. Wood, what's the call?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, if you would please raise your right hand. And is your camera on?
It is.
I'm not seeing a video feed.
There's a little light and it says it's going.
Oh, I think it might be a network issue. I'm seeing the little yellow triangle.
Yep.
Jacqueline, with this being conceptual and not taking any action, are we in good grounds to continue without the video?
I think we may have just lost him entirely.
Oh.
No, I'm here.
Sorry.
I'm hearing you.
It popped up now.
Are you able to see the video, Sarah?
Yeah, I can see the video.
Okay, and you can verify that
It's Josh, right?
Yes.
Yep, I can see Josh at least for a moment. So, and I think it's okay. Probably it's conceptual.
Okay, so Sarah's able to see him.
Not taking any action. It seems just fine.
All righty then, Mr. Wood, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and the truth?
Yes.
And please state your name for the record.
Joshua Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. All right, Jacqueline.
Okay, this is a conceptual application. The applicant would like to propose the addition of a 10 by 30 foot rectilinear fiberglass pool in the backyard. The pool location would be centered on the existing back porch between the house and the carriage house. The pool edging would be coped limestone. And the applicant is also in the process of working on a landscape plan for future review. So after the October 20th business meeting, the applicant noted that the pool will have a retractable cover and additional screening as part of a future landscape plan that will be presented at a later date. And the applicant has noted that the retractable cover may mean additional fencing is not required.
All right. Mr. Wood, anything else to add?
Just a question. If you had any, so emails back and forth now with the landscape company, and wondered if you had what you would require specifically for the pool deck to be, as we're pricing things out and talking about their design.
I would say it's kind of up to you of what you'd like to propose. I don't think we really have anything.
So the landscape architect was really clear that I had to ask you what you would allow before he went down that path. My preference personally would be bluestone or autumn brown sandstone. And that's what I'm kind of pushing my client to go with. But Yard Solutions basically said, well, tell us what the commission wants. So
that's not.
I want bluestone, but it's not my house.
He insisted that you ask, and you have asked.
Let me just chime in with two things here. One is that it be a warm water permeable, not the stone obviously, but that the way it is set and the way it is laid, that it be water permeable. This is a pretty big pool, although it's an enormous lot. It's a 62-foot wide lot, right?
It's huge, yeah.
Double wide. That doesn't torque me out so much. In some smaller cases, we've in effect made people put in effect French drains adjacent to very large pools, because you, especially when you have a pool cover, you get a rainstorm and all the area of the pool is in effect impermeable. So that water's got to go somewhere, and if you can't have it draining off the site. Specifically, there's a house down on Mohawk, close to the park, where they put in hard pavers. I think they wanted concrete around the pool deck, and they put in a very large trench drain to allow for some of that drainage. But if you've got this big a lot and permeable pavers throughout the area, I'm not seeing a problem.
Jay, depending on the design of the pool, you may have to have a concrete collar over a certain portion of those extending a couple of feet from the edge of the pool. And it'll depend on the design of the rigid cover.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes concrete is needed in terms of how that's installed, but
to stabilize it.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else?
But the point of addressing the additional runoff is an important one.
Okay.
Yeah, aside from that, we don't dictate materials. I mean, typically stone, brick, pavers, not so much concrete pavers, but usually the stone kind of flagstone it, all that.
Certainly in rear yards and out of view of the public way, and
yeah.
Is stamped concrete an option or just natural?
Nope. Stamped concrete gets you into a runoff problem.
Okay. Okay. Great.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right. Jack, looks like number 22 is tabled. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Moving on to 23, GV-20-11-035, 637 South 3rd Street. Mr. Thompson or someone else for 637 South 3rd Street. All right. We'll move on to item number 24, GV-20-11-036, 262 East Sycamore.
Hi, Mary Deach is here.
All right. Ms. Deach, looking for your video. Please raise your, there, I see your name.
Well, darn. It's asking me to open my system preferences now, of course. I'm sitting here.
I think we can.
Yeah, it's conceptual. Is it okay if I
think we're okay with conceptual.
Without video?
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're not taking any action, so I think we're okay. Jacqueline, actually, I'll say, just for the record, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Mary Deach, architect.
Okay. Thank you. Jacqueline?
Okay, so this application is conceptual, and the applicant is proposing to install an operable walk-up window for coffee on the southeast exterior window of the Sycamore restaurant. So commissioners requested staff to check hard copy files for older photos, and 2 photos dating to about 1962, but can't confirm, and possibly about 1992 were found in the hard copy files. They're not the clearest photos, but they look like they show a similar configuration to what is there today.
Okay. Deach, anything to
add? No. I mean, we just want to get it in front of everyone to see what the response is before we try to develop the idea.
Okay. Questions, comments from the commission?
Yeah, I have no problem with the concept. My concern is what kind of damage will be done to the existing frame, and can it be restored at a future date without any visual evidence of what you've done? That will be what I'm looking for.
Okay, so would that mean you would prefer if we took the existing frame out and
no,
kept it,
no,
or?
no, no.
No, I think what he's talking about. God, I'm not going to say. Ned, you tell him what you think.
Well, I mean, if you're going to reduce the glazing size, you have to put in some secondary members, and how are you going to attach those to the existing frame without doing any damage? That's what I'm interested in.
Work within the existing frame, not cut the frame off and put something else below it.
Yeah, no.
Got it.
No, it's going to have to be a secondary structure to the existing frame.
So I've got a different question, and that is my concern for the neighbors. This being located to the east of the door means that lines for this window are going to extend to the east in front of the adjacent properties, and that That's a thing, I think.
I feel like when I'm standing out there, it feels like there's quite a bit of depth on that sidewalk to just kind of go straight out south. Yes,
If there are two
if it was a
people in
huge
line, or
line,
maybe 3 people in line, maybe you have enough, but without starting to interfere with the passing people. But you get 5 or 6 people there, and it's going to naturally fall to the south, or naturally fall to the east.
and would you consider some sort of control mechanism for the line to guide it intentionally in a different?
Well, you've only got 3 directions you can guide it in. You can guide it to the south, the east, and the west. And the west, you've got, to go to the west, you're passing right in front of the door. And is there a stoop there?
Yeah, there's one.
There's one
2
step,
risers.
yeah.
I mean, for line purposes, it makes more sense for it to be on the west window.
For the window, for the
And then the line
walk-up window to be on the west. Yeah.
But I think the bar is on the east side, right?
The bar is on the east side.
Right.
Yes, we're trying to deal. Right, we're trying to use the existing kitchen and bar configuration.
That makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
Pardon me. Are any?
I mean, it feels like you could direct a line, to the west of the door, having a waiting spot.
The door.
No, to the west of it, like having people. You can control leaving the doorway open, and then having people step up. Keeping 2 or 3 in front of the window, and then it could kind of scroll around towards their own patio.
Whether that works is going to depend on what the time of day you imagine this being active. It sounds like morning. So if people are coming into the front door, they're not going to be. This isn't going to be a dinner time thing, I'm guessing.
No. Not likely, right? It's specifically for coffee service. I mean, long term, with the current pandemic situation, they do feel like it would be a great carry out window if if someone was pulling up and could do a pickup there. That would be really a nice thing.
Don't use those words long term and pandemic in the same sentence.
Right.
It has been long term.
And right already there.
Well, I just wanted to put that in people's mind.
Yep.
Ye old Sycamore Cafe.
I mean, I think essentially they're really wanting to be a neighborhood cafe and I don't think, of course, business would want to anticipate long lines, but more, when you're there, as we've been in the design phase, there's just a lot of people, walking their dogs, and it's for the neighbors that live there. Is really, they just want to be a neighborhood cafe, and
there are probably 3 of the 4 or 4 of the 5 commissioners on the phone or on the line right now who walk their dogs.
Yeah.
Pass there.
When I walk out into the street in front of my house, I look right at the Sycamore Cafe.
There you go.
Got it.
Okay. Sorry. Are we done?
I think that's it for that one, unless there's anything else you need. Ms. Deach?
I guess, so are you saying it's okay to continue the application and we develop a window details?
What it sounded like to me.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Jacqueline, was there anything else on the agenda? I probably saw a link at the very bottom.
Yeah, there's an item of old business, and I think the application number 1, we might have enough materials. It's a recommended application to possibly approve that.
All right, let's go back to let's go back and work our way through the missed ones if we can, and just motion those off to the next. So number 1, GB-20-11-017. We want to talk through this one. So Jacqueline.
Yeah, so this application includes a previously painted masonry home that was repainted. It did receive a code violation. It had received a COA to paint to match the existing color scheme. And while the new paint is still blue, it was off, so they received a code violation. And I think we have some updated photos in response to requests from commissioners at the business meeting showing what the house color looked like previously. So staff does recommend approval of the application. And then we've noted that there are similar colors found throughout the village, and then paint is also, temporary. And since this was a previously painted structure, it could be repainted.
Are there any brick houses painted this color?
According to the applicant, there are similar ones with a similar color.
I don't recall ever seeing. I mean, there are, I believe, 2 or maybe 3 clapboard that are painted this color, and frankly, I think a couple of them were, or at least one of them were done without commission approval. I don't believe that this conforms to our guidelines.
I don't know why it doesn't, because I've looked at the guidelines and I'm not seeing anything. I looked at it tonight and I'm not seeing anything that says blue's off the table.
No, it's not a matter of blue. I think that I think that first of all, it has always been precedent that brick should be painted when allowed, should be painted the color, that natural materials such as brick and stone should be painted the color that they originally would have been. However, I'll give you that.
Yeah, Jay, that doesn't stand up.
No, I that's why I say I'll absolutely give you that. Although that is what the guideline says on page 91 of the book. But the other thing is that this color is not a color that would have been seen in the village historically on any property, and it doesn't have an historical precedent either. In that one, the other thing that the guidelines talk about is where properties have developed their character, are products of their time. That's how I got to the blue matching the original blue, because it was done prior to the commission, and it's gained historical character just by having been here a long time. But this color is totally foreign to the village. It is extraordinarily jarring to the properties adjacent to it, and doesn't have any context to it at all.
Well, I don't think the previous color had context then either, but it was painted.
But
we do have other houses this color in the village, whether they're clapboard or brick.
Don't buy it. Sorry.
I don't know how I can vote against anything if I vote for this.
Commissioner McCoy, what's your thoughts? Commissioner McCoy, you still there?
Yeah, sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. I don't see anything in the guidelines though that say that you can't do that.
Yeah, that's my point.
Most historic colors schemes were fairly simple. The older cottages, for example, usually had a single trim color keyed either to the body color on the frame building or to the natural brick color on a brick building. Even late 19th century buildings typically had only 2 paint colors. Avoid using more than 2 colors. In general, avoid painting surfaces that have never been painted, for example, wood and stone, lintels, etc.
And this was all painted before.
Original paint colors for a building should be researched as a starting point for color selection. I would argue that the paint that was on this building is its original paint color, because prior to that it was brick. What combinations of colors were used in which locations and how many colors were used? This is just, to me, a bridge too far.
If you go back to the previous page, on page 90, let's say 1880, 1900, Highly ornamented buildings provide the opportunity for a more lively and imaginative use of colors. Blah, blah, blah. 19th century palette included pale yellow or light green on frame buildings with dark green and maroon trims. Some brick buildings also had dark green or maroon trims. Others had brown, red trims. 1900, they moved away and they went to simple classical forms, lighter colors such as cream, yellow, and white. I'm not seeing anything in here of bold, bluish.
Blue's the issue. I mean, the saturation is fine. The olive, browns, etc. The saturation color was fine for it back then. Brick or not brick. It's the blue is the issue.
I know we had the conversation about doors, and we did prove that doors were not out of the ordinary to have bolder colors, but to have a house of a bold blue, specifically on a brick house. I'm trying to justify it myself, and I'm not sure I can.
Is it brick or is it the mass? I mean, somebody said, well, it'd be okay in a smaller house. Is that it? Is that what it is?
I think it's partly just the fact of it and partly context. I think in a row of brick houses, having a house that's this blue, this bright, is a problem.
It does stand out.
Yeah, well, exactly.
And we talk about it's supposed to be complementary and fit with the fabric of the neighborhood, and this standing out is definitely not in that context, that same vein.
So the phrase that's sticking out to me is tone of the village, reinforcing the tone of the village. This is an affront to the tone of the village.
I feel bad about it because it's probably my favorite color.
It's not much different from the color of my cottage on Martha's Vineyard, where there are varied colors in Victorian wood cottages.
Or the O'Neill house in the corner of Willow and LaSalle.
So I would say that from the conversation, I'm not hearing a majority in favor of approving as submitted. I feel bad trying to vote on it without the applicant here to have their side. I would recommend continuing it if that's the case.
I would agree.
Are you on the same page with that?
Yep. That's the sensible thing to do.
Yep.
All right. Is there a motion?
Item GV 20-11017, 180 Thurman Avenue. I move to continue.
I have a question on the motion.
Yes.
Has this been continued before?
It has not.
Okay, that's all. I second the motion then.
Any questions on the motion? All right, Commissioner Panzer?
Aye.
Was there a yes on that?
Yes.
So what happens if we don't continue it?
We vote on it.
Okay.
I want to give the applicant a chance. Commissioner Thiel?
Yes.
Commissioner Ferriel?
Yes.
Commissioner McCoy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Ayes have it. All right. Item 2796 Mohawk Street.
I have to recuse myself.
Okay. No applicant here. This was continued. This will be the second continuance. Is that correct, Jacqueline?
That is correct. Yeah, we have several continued applications, I think, that would be continued again.
Okay. If we can make a note on the next agenda that this says it's been continued twice, just so we have that notation on there.
Yep, can do.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move to continue agenda item number 2, GV 20-08-032, 796 Mohawk.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Commissioner Panzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Ferriel?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Commissioner Thiel is recused. Ayes have it. The next I have here is item number 4, GV-20-10045121 East Frankfurt Street.
I have one comment on this, and I think it came up in in the business meeting 2 months ago. A verification of the shutters being approved, and I haven't heard anything.
For this one, I believe we couldn't find the folder, so it may be that it has been approved. There's just a misplaced folder somewhere for the hard copy files.
Yeah, I don't think the shutters were ever approved. But that's not what they're there for.
Yeah.
Are we okay? Is this actually? Oh, the timber line. That's the problem. Yep.
Yeah.
Never mind. Mr. Chairman, I have a motion on agenda item number 4, GV 20-10-045, 121 East Frankfurt, to continue the application.
Second.
All right. Any questions on the motion? Real quick, I will make the statement. Well, we'll vote on this, and I'll make the statement. Commissioner Panzer?
Yes.
Vote.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Commissioner Thiel?
Aye.
Commissioner Ferriel?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Jacqueline, if you do a Google Street View on this property, 2016 was a picture with no shutters. So as of 2016, they were not on that property.
Then I guarantee they were not approved, because there is no way that we would ever approve putting these shutters on that house.
So,
yeah, I think it's very unlikely to have been staff approved or something like that.
Oh, I hope not.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't think anybody would do that.
And there was an application on this house. I remember this is the funky house that we talked about.
We met with them several times about all the renovation work.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Moving on. I think my next one I had was 12. Jacqueline, are you track on that one too? Anything in between there?
No, I think you're correct. I think number 12 is the next one.
All right. That's GB-20-11-024, 1054 Old Pearl Street.
Move to continue.
Is there a second?
Second.
Question on the motion? Take the vote. Commissioner Panzer?
Yes.
Commissioner Thiel?
Yes.
Commissioner Ferriel?
Yes.
Commissioner McCoy?
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well. Ayes, yes, have it. The next one I have listed is 16.
Yes, same here.
GV-20-11-028, 566 South 4th Street.
Move to continue.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Commissioner Panzer?
Yes.
Commissioner Thiel?
Yes.
Commissioner Ferriel?
Yes.
Commissioner McCoy?
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well. Yeses have it. And then I have item number 23.
That's correct, yes.
That was tabled.
Conceptual. Yeah.
Wait, 22 is tabled. 23 is
Yes.
conceptual. No action needed. There was an old business at the very bottom of the agenda. GV-20-07046. I need to recuse myself from this.
Okay. Okay, so for this old business item, this is an application that had been previously approved and involved in constructing a rear enclosed porch that was not visible from the right-of-way. The applicant ran into an issue where building and zoning wanted one wall of the porch that was in close proximity to a neighbor to be, or they're requiring it to be fireproof. So the applicant is proposing to make that one wall fiber cement, I believe, instead of cedar, but everything would match and be the same. And they were wondering, so basically I'm putting this forward to see if you would like to see this on the December agenda, or if this is something that you'd be comfortable with staff approving.
This is a porch on, sorry, what? I need to see the sandboard of this.
It's at
No, I'm sorry. I apologize. Not a sandboard. I need to see the street level of this.
What's the address?
369 Jackson. Yeah, this is a porch on the back of an historic home.
And the porch is new. It was approved previously to be constructed, but that's the one wall that they have run into that they need to change the material.
Can we see the application so we can understand what we're talking about?
Yeah, Belkis, if you could click on that link, it's the old business item at the bottom of the agenda.
This is a
Okay.
this is a closed porch.
Okay. Oh, at the bottom. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, very bottom.
Old business. Old business.
What page do you need?
Page 11. It's the bottom of page 11.
Pretty much the last thing.
No, I remember this one.
I'm slightly confused. So this is a screened-in porch. And they're requiring that the screened-in porch material be...
So building and zoning is requiring one wall of the enclosed porch to be fire rated, fireproof. So the applicant had originally proposed cedar for that porch, but they are now proposing for that one wall to match, but to be like fiber cement or something fireproof.
But is it still open?
No, it will still be enclosed. It's just that one wall will now be
Sorry,
fire
is it a screened-in porch or is there a wall on that side?
They've described it as a wall, and that was my understanding if they were using cedar.
Can you go back to the elevations? No. It's open.
Yeah. I'm not seeing that this is open on three sides.
It's not conditioned space. It's occupiable. They may want the structure fireproofed. I don't know that requires a closed wall.
Fiber cement, yeah. On A3.1, which is, I can't tell what page it is of the submission. But if you start, yeah, I see what's happened. The building department is saying that needs to be a solid wall.
Mm.
If you scroll down lower, you see the original submission, but they're saying they want a 2x6 wall construction on that side. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Why?
To protect the adjacent property from fire.
Okay.
Yeah, it's close enough.
I mean,
well, I don't have any reason to say no, I guess.
No.
Sorry, Ned, were you saying no as in no?
No, there is no reason.
Yeah, I can't. Well, it's interesting. Fiber cement sheeting, 5/8" fire code gypsum beneath the fiber cement sheeting. What the hell? I'm not entirely certain that we really care. Once we acknowledge that it's going to be a solid wall, do we really care?
I think it's nice that they're articulating it with panels.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be doing that at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we got to vote on it. I don't think that this is something that we can have for anything else.
Agenda.
I find it interesting that they're not trying to do something to the second floor too.
The detail that they've got becomes kind of interesting. The section detail, which is in here, the fire rated sidewall detail. Yeah, they're wrapping fiber cement trim.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I have a motion.
No, I don't think I think it's got to go
just
into.
let staff approve it. Okay.
No, can we vote on this now?
That's what I was going to make a motion for.
Well, I'm asking the question. It's not. I mean, yeah, I guess we probably could.
Yeah.
Couldn't we?
Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
The applicant.
Go ahead, Jeff. Go for it.
Item GV-20-07-046-369 Jackson Street. I move to approve as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor? Oh, wait a minute. I need to do this. Commissioner Ferriel.
Aye.
Commissioner Thiel.
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy.
Aye.
Hanser votes aye. Motion passes.
Alrighty. And then real quick, item 23, conceptual. Looks like Jonathan Barnes is here. Must have missed him on the call. So, Mr. Barnes, if you please raise your right hand. Actually, let me call the agenda item. GV-20-11-035, 637 South 3rd Street. Please raise your right hand.
Yeah, this is John and Jenny right here.
All right. Mr. and Mrs. Barnes, please raise your hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Please both state your name for the record.
Jonathan Barnes.
Jenny Barnes.
Thank you very much. Jacqueline?
Stay here.
Okay, scrolling to find the right one real quick. Okay, 637 South 3rd Street, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a conceptual application. The applicant would like to propose the construction of a new detached two-car garage that would be approximately 720 square foot with an occupied studio or office space above to replace a previously demolished outbuilding. The existing curb cut would remain and a new driveway would be installed. The applicant is also requesting consideration of variances for use with minimum side yard and height as part of those variances. So the commissioners noted at the October 20 business meeting that having both a bathroom and a kitchen would make the garage or carriage house a full residential unit and would require additional variances. And they also asked if the trees in the backyard would be retained. And the commissioners noted that a two-story garage at this location would not be recommended.
All right, Mr. Barnes, anything else to add?
Sure. Just a little bit of background, So this is a property, we've owned this for about 20 years. It's been in our family for probably 40 or 50. And originally bought by Jenny's father. So over the years, we've fully renovated the interior, which included actually removing one of the bedrooms. We renovated the exterior, which was new windows, slate repair, et cetera, et cetera. So really what's left, the driveway, we really don't like. That thing needs to get replaced. So we want to replace the driveway and the hardscaping and the landscaping. But we also we can't really do that until we do the garage. So that's kind of what's next in the scope of this kind of next project. So we're really proposing a two-car garage, and it made sense to us. So eventually we're going to live here, and we have some adult kids. One, I'm pretty sure, is going to be moving back home after college. And we would like another bedroom. So we would like a living space above the garage. To answer or try to answer your questions, in terms of lot coverage, we're under the total lot coverage. I think we're at 37%, so we're under 50%. We would need the side yard setback. Honestly, to make this thing work, I'd rather not have more driveway. So to move it south would create more driveway, which would really not prefer. And there isn't a residence to our north anyway. And the other variance, the second variance, is really just a matter of the fact that we would, right now, we're not thinking that it would be attached. We'd rather have it detached. And if you have living space above a garage, it really is, it needs to be attached with living space unless you do a variance. So that's where we're at with that. And the height, so a little bit about the height. I totally agree that we're not interested in something that, you know, looks as big as this house. Not that it would have to be anyway with this garage, but what we'd like to do, we definitely want it to be lower. Obviously, it's set way back from the street. But two things we would do to decrease the height. One is to try to keep it relatively level with the sidewalk and the street. The difference from like street level, let's say sidewalk level, to the back of the house is approximately 4 feet. Where the garage is, call it, 4 to 5 feet. So we'd like to keep that driveway as level as possible. That's going to cost us a little bit of money because of retaining walls, et cetera. But we don't want to see as much of the garage from the street. We don't want the garage to be sort of elevated from the street. We want it to be lower. So that's going to help with the overall height. And then would also, I think the idea is that probably we would do a gable roof with a north-south orientation for a couple reasons. One is just presents less height from the street, but also it doesn't get in the way of the trees in the back. By the way, there was a comment about trees in the backyard. We don't have any trees. All the trees on this you can see are on neighboring properties. Nevertheless, a gable with that orientation would of not get in the way of the trees that do exist on the, well, I guess to the west. And we would bring that roof down, not, a spring line of not say like 9 feet or something like that, but we would bring it down to maybe, 4 or 5 feet above finished floor. So garage level is already lower than a normal level, call it kind of garage floor to top of the upper floor. Maybe that's 9 feet as opposed to 10 or more. And then the spring line for the gable would be maybe, let's call it 4 feet above that. So we would have dormers to make it so you could actually use the space. But again, the whole thing would be lowered than below the grade back there, and the roof would be lower than a normal sort of second story roof. I haven't really designed it. This is sort of planning stage and looking for, your approval at a conceptual level of this idea. And, lots more to come in terms of exteriors, in terms of landscaping. There'll be a lot of landscaping, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments from the commission?
I think he's on track with getting it down. I mean, I don't know if it's 4 feet or whatever, but getting it down and getting it secondary diminutive to the existing house is the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as site plan and all that stuff, I'm not even going to comment on that because I think you got a long way to go yet.
Do we know what has been on this site previously? Has it all been yard or driveway or anything?
There's a Sanborn in the application.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were structures back there. Ridge.
There used to be
houses, garages.
There used to be another primary structure to the south of the existing structure, which is now gone. Behind that structure was a large shed, 1 story, and then straight up the driveway at the back was a smaller outbuilding and a small shed-looking structure.
Right.
So it's been open mostly.
Yeah.
My comment I would make, and it's not really one way or the other, is I don't know if we have any examples of a carriage house that's not fronting on a street or alley, being set far back on the lot, having a carriage house back and access from the front through the property. I don't think we have an example of that.
I think there are. There's, I think on this presentation, if that was included, you know, I've, maybe I overdid it. There's probably like, I have probably 30 examples of precedents. And a lot of these are facing the street, if not right on the street. Some are old, some are newer, but there's certainly a lot that are.
And looking through them, I mean, if you go to the Beck Street one is actually attached to the structure, which I don't think
Some
we
are,
got
yes.
approved today.
And you know, we could do that, but that wouldn't be our preference.
I'm saying I don't think we would ever approve that today. And then looking through the rest of them, they're all, the structure is up on the street, or up on the alley. There's not a whole lot that are, again,
Well, I think you're
separate
looking
structures.
at two right here, right?
Again, 652 Mohawk, that's right on the alley. 757, that's, I'm not sure what that is. Is that an attachment or is that actually?
No, 757 is an old Frank Fetch project that actually Al Berthold redesigned and put the roof on, that kind of canopy over the roof. It's not anything that anybody would ever contemplate in this neighborhood these days.
Yeah.
I oddly enough get the feeling there are examples of this, but I'm just not.
Set back from the street, you mean?
I mean, at the rear of a lot, still facing, like, usually when they're in the rear of a lot, they're facing an alley behind. We've never had I'm trying to think of a carriage house where you drive through the lot to get to the carriage house.
Yeah, but I don't think of this as a carriage house because I don't know if Jonathan's going to go there or not, but he can get it down and he can push that second story back so that second story is, and Jonathan, I'm not telling you this, is offset over the garage and it's at the elevation of what the backyard is. I mean, the potential here with the elevation difference in the land provides him a lot of opportunity to do something really different.
And I believe I'll just say that that is the intent here is to make it look as much like a garage as possible, not like a house. But if you think about it, I mean, right now we have a curb cut, we have a driveway. We'd like to improve, not just change it, but improve it. And if you think about like, should it be on the street? And I'd say that would be the least interesting.
Oh yeah.
And I'm totally on board, and I think there is a potential, an architectural way to make it work. It's just when we hear carriage house and we hear backup property and it's not directly on an alley, it just raises flags. And that's the comment I wanted to make. That was all.
There's something that was talked about that I think makes a lot of sense, but I also think is kind of problematic, and that is that you can push this thing into the ground by leveling the driveway and creating and using retaining walls on either side. But I think the retaining walls become their own problem.
Oh, and he's gonna have to address that. I agree, Jay.
Yeah, there's a balance there somewhere that lets it go down low enough that it doesn't interfere with, or it doesn't dominate that back section of the property, but that you don't wind up with this pit leading back.
Yeah,
you know, there's a tricky little devil.
Right. I don't disagree, but that's something we'll address. I mean, maybe it's, you know, I could see that being covered with planting, you know, so it looks more like landscaping and not a retaining wall or
and it could be, you know, 2 feet of retaining wall and then 2 feet of plant, you know, sloping down to it. Who knows? But there's a fine line to be dealt with there. With, you know, you're the guy to do the fine line detail.
Do the whole thing underground.
Okay. You're investing in this, right?
There's one in every crowd.
Yeah, they've got those small auto park things where you can stack cars in a garage.
That's true. We actually looked at one. Actually, the house that I was talking about on Mohawk, Al Berthold, has one in it. A car lift. Yeah. Okay, are we done?
Hold on, Jenny. You have a comment? Question? Hold on.
I just want to say that I think that that driveway is so ugly right now, and I just so much want to improve it so it looks better. You know, it's on this 3rd Street, which is a main street, and yes, you're highlighting how ugly it is. Yeah, and we've been waiting so many years to be able to do this. So I really do want it to look really great. And so I'm just telling you this because it's kind of exciting to finally be where we can take this ugly concrete driveway and like that whole pad, I want to make brick and not concrete over the brick and really make it pretty.
Well, I'd certainly rather have a garage back there with cars inside it than cars just sitting on the driveway.
Right. Especially elevated up the way they are, now.
Yeah. I can't stand the way you can look up under the cars. I just hate that. That's why I want to bring it down and just, make it nice. That's all I had to say.
Okay, cool.
All right.
That's great. Thanks for your input, and we'll be back with more.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. I think that's it. We have a motion to adjourn.
Hold on for a second. Did we ever ratify staff approvals?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh. I must have slept through it. Sorry. I must have been not paying attention.
I guess we'll talk about this on the record.
The minutes will reflect that that's what we did.
Yeah. On the record, we did have a letter rough drafted up by Commissioner Ferriel regarding the project at the corner of Whittier and Yeager, just outside the village boundaries.
I just got stuck halfway through it.
Yeah, I did. I read through it. I did get notification, or I did read that the applicant has changed their design a bit since we last saw it. So I didn't want to bring that language up to anybody here yet until we got that kind of resolved. The intent is to pass it around, get thoughts from the different commissioners, and if we can come together on set language, hopefully take a vote on it or issue that letter out to council by next meeting if we can. So just TBD on that. And then the Commission Caretaker Awards is going on this year virtually. I'll be reaching out to commissioners to get presenters for those awards. So that's it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Any questions? Commissioner Panzer?
Aye.
Thiel? Commissioner Thiel?
That's gone.
It's muted. He's there, but muted.
Commissioner Thiel, thumbs up. You vote yay.
Sorry about
There we
that.
go. Commissioner Ferriel?
Aye.
McCoy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Yeah, thank you to
Thank you,
staff.
guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you for staying on late.